Ponytails podcast. Here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. My name is Andres Gamboa, and I am the host of the Ponytails podcast. Thank you for being here. If this is your first episode, welcome, welcome. A little bit about what we do, a little bit about what the show is. Man, it's the craziest thing. We interview alumni of the oldest internship in the United States. It started in 1868, and while we're not affiliated with the internship itself, we're just all people who did it. And what they do in the summer is the craziest part of our show. Basically, they take college kids to go sell books door to door for 80 hours a week. So that's Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 9:30, sometimes later. And that's it. We're selling educational books to help families with homework, all the way from the little ones to the big high school kiddos. And after that, we go back to school and tell our friends about the crazy internship that we just participated in. This month, we're doing a really cool thing where there's 100,000 living alumni, and a lot of them are obviously from the United States. But in June, we decided to exclusively interview people from Europe because there's a lot of, or I guess from outside the United States. We've had people from Spain as well, or from South America and stuff as well. So not exclusively from Europe, but really from all over the world where they got recruited outside of the United States, and then they had to come here. Some of them didn't speak any English and were able to do this internship and make a ton of money doing it. So why would we do that? It's because it's a crazy experience. And if you've heard any of the other episodes, you can agree with this. But if this is your first one, buckle up. We're about to hear some awesome stories from our guest today. So before I bring him on to the screen, though, I would like to give a shout out to some of the alumni that we work with. So one of the cool things about this show is that we are trying to revive the network that is this 100,000, group of people. And by doing so, we were able to have other alumni of this company or of this internship who are now doing all sorts of cool things. And they were wanting to partner with us to help us grow and to help us be the best that we can be to reach this giant, vast network of people. And so I want to give a quick shout out to some of the alumni. It's like an alumni highlight reel. And I kind of wanted to start out with my friends over at Cardinal and Senior Benefits. Cardinal Senior Benefits, they're taking this segment to recognize some of their agents. So last week they had 10 out of about 50 of their agents gross over 10,000 and gross profit in 1 week, which is pretty crazy. That's about 1 out of 5 of their agents is grossing 10K. So the top spots actually are going to people who did not sell books. Lucas Holland, who's over 30,000 in gross profit over the week. He worked for 63 hours for that, and he's taking advantage of the freedom and flexibility he gets for the job. He's going to Europe next week, so he's going to take a big old trip. It's going to be fun. But honorable mentions as well, Carson Welch, Nathan Alberts, Michael K., Russ Elliott, Jeremy Checketts, Jordan Chappell, DJ Costa, Ian Penzato. All of these folks were making over 10K of gross profit, and that's awesome for them. So if those numbers sound appealing to you, reach out to us. If you know of a book person that might be interested in opening their career into something else, or you yourself are doing so, let us know. We'll reach out to Quentin and Pedro Vega and Nick Dale to get them going with them. So shout out to Cardinal. Love you guys lots. We'll talk about a little more about them later on. A big shout out to Will Metscher. Will's actually one of the reasons that this podcast kind of got inspired. I was visiting Portland and I met a group of guys who were selling books or who sold books, and we kind of connected with them. And those conversations are the ones that I really craved, which is what led me to start the show with Nick Taverdi. But if you're like me, one of the biggest things that you miss about being in Southwestern is the ability to make a big impact on the people that you're working with, because we're teaching other college kids things that you're not going to learn until your 30s, 40s, or 50s, if at all. So if you are the kind of person that wants to make a big impact on those, you need to work with Will Metscher. Will is amazing. Unless you live under a rock, you're probably aware of Southwestern Consulting. But the cool thing is that Will is one of their most successful coaches, and he's hiring people to work with him. So every one of the coaches that he's working with has earned over 6 figures and built an incredible career of creating a lasting impact. So reach out to us and we can put you in touch with Will so you know how to get into his team. This is a good opportunity if you are good at coaching people and if you have a good heart for that. And then last but not least, I want to give a shout out to Seth and Zane This is a kind of a mixed promotion. We're launching BIZZLER. If you haven't heard of BIZZLER, again, if this is your first episode listening in, so BIZZLER is a party that we're throwing in Cancun with a bunch of alumni. So it's like Sizzler, the trip that we used to win or earn for working really hard. That is now going to be exclusively for alumni and their spouses. So Seth and Zane with Elevate Wellness are helping us get into the best shape of our lives by doing so. If you're like me, I struggle to get healthy groceries. Even in Portland, everything's organic, and I still have a hard time getting to the store. Or I would end up kind of quitting out and kind of fizzling out halfway through. Or sometimes I would go to the gym and not really have a clear idea, because the last time I ever really worked out intensively was in high school, and I was still using those old moves, and I don't really know what the heck I was doing. So these guys realized that most people are kind of in the same boat I was, and they gave us an ability to do accountability, not just with the gym and our health, but also mentally as well. So it's been a really cool trifecta working with them. And so they started at Elevate Wellness. Our team has been using them for months, and we're seeing really good results. So if you want to kind of get more information on that, get in touch with them before you come to BIZZLER with us on Mexico, or just for the summer. If you want to halfway through the summer and you want to really finish strong for the summer, reach out to us. As they like to say, elevate your body, your mind, and your life with Elevate Wellness. Make sure you reach out to us. We would love to put you in touch with them. Now, shout out to you guys. Love you lots. Now, I'm going to bring up our guest, Tim Sakhautdinov. I hope I said that right. Oh, I hope I said that right. I'm doing my best, man. These European guests are kicking my ass. Simon Promyslav. I can't even say it anymore. I practice so hard. Robin Mukherjee. It's so hard. It's hard. But you know what? I'm happy to have our European guests on, because it's been such a cool way to learn about culture and learn about a different way of growing up and a different way of seeing the world. And it's been a lot of fun for me. Hope you guys are enjoying the episodes as well. So Tim sold from 2014 to 2021, right in the middle of that flu that was going around. I'm sure you guys heard about that. He sold for 8 summers. And so, wow, that's twice as many as I sold, which is insane. I don't know how you could do that. Amazing. Was part of the Highlanders organization from 2014 to 2019, and then switched to TD from 2019 to 2021, which we can talk about why as the show goes on. And he went to University of Economics in Prague in the Czech Republic, but he is originally from Kazakhstan. So I'm gonna bring him up onto the screen, my man Tim. Boom. Big lover of Arsenal Football Club.
No,
Oh,
Gunners.
let's go Gunners. You were on my fantasy team, my fantasy league, and man, you were close. You were so I was
Almost
cheering
won that
for you.
thing. Yes. Well,
Dang,
if
man.
that is gonna make Shane Herdig feel better for not winning the English Premier League, then I'm happy to give it to him. As a true Arsenal fan, in a true Arsenal way, let's put it this way. So, anyway,
Wow.
it's not about
How
Arsenal, I
nice of
guess,
you.
right? I know.
It can be.
Oh,
It can be, man. Oh man. So good. Hey man, thanks for being here. I really appreciate you being on the show.
thanks for
I
having me.
hope you enjoy it. It's gonna be a good conversation. And catch me up. What are you up to now? You left books a year ago. What's been this year for you? Where are you working? What are you doing?
Well, first of all, I think that I am the closest to the true Southwestern experience as it can probably get. And I'm physically telling you that because I know that I didn't tell you that, but I'm currently in the ninth floor of Marriott Cool Springs Hotel and downstairs in Matt Ross's hotel room, actually. And I know, right? And that um, the reason why I'm in this hotel is because there's sales call going on right this moment, and I literally ran a real deal for TD when you're standing in the
Ooh,
circle and you have people run
yeah.
around approach you. Probably 2 hours a day, and I got rained on in a true Tennessee fashion when there was just a big thunderstorm coming through for like 30 minutes, exactly the same time as we were outside. So I'm still drying out my clothes. So this is where I am,
Wow.
the closest to the
Wow.
book people I can get, and just said hi to your brother, what, probably an hour and a half ago too. So
All right.
it's,
Did you tell me you were doing this?
I don't think I did because he's doing some big time DSL things, and we just said what's up,
Oh.
fist bump, and move on. You know how it is. So
Yeah, he thinks he's so cool. He's pretty cool, but whatever. It's no big deal. We don't have to talk about him. It's
Not that
fine.
there's a
Boo.
competition at all, right?
This is a story for another time.
Absolutely no competition. Yeah, so physically, I hope it's going to be a lot of Southwestern vibe in this episode. So we're going to make it. And honestly, not going to lie, I haven't watched many of them. I've seen a lot of, promos and people posting about it on Insta. So it's pretty
Heck
cool.
yeah, man.
You asked me what I'm
I
up to
appreciate
right
it.
now.
Yeah.
I listened to your. By the way, this is great that people advertise here. This is awesome. I think it's really, really cool. I'm actually doing kind of 2 out of 3 things that you advertised. I'm with Elevate Fitness right now. Well, not as one of them, but just got signed up to their big time program. I'm gonna be. I told Zane and Seth that I'm gonna be lifting more than they would in a week because that's what they're promoting me to do. And I'm gonna bulk up. I had 1 coaching call and I've done it for a week, so I'm on a great streak so far. So
Nice
this
job,
number
man.
1, by the way, they're great. The guys know what they're doing, so this is pretty awesome, and you get to support the fellow book people. And second of all, I'm not exactly with Cardinal, but I'm in the final expense industry as well. So I recruit and sell life insurance, and the sense of loyalty in Southwestern and in the principles we believe and what we stand for has been engraved in my heart and my soul for the last 8 summers. So I decided after selling books to switch right into the sister company. It's called Southwestern Legacy.
Oh yeah, nice.
And which is pretty awesome. They claim for that to be the fastest growing, the most badass Southwestern company ever created and all that. But I'm not going to be, how a nice lady doesn't need to tell everybody that she's a nice lady, right? So we're not going to be bragging too much about that, I guess. We'll just show it with
That's
time.
right.
And so I get to work with a bunch of Southwestern alums, actually, but now in the life insurance industry, which is pretty amazing. Love the industry, love what we do, love the mission that we carry, and love the people that I work with. So that's pretty cool.
Hell yeah, man. That's sweet. So what do you think is the biggest difference from that you've noticed? You're just very fresh out. So from going from door to door selling books, which I'm consume is a lot, but what are the biggest differences that you've noticed between that and selling like insurance to, a whole
Um,
different demographic?
that's a good question. And honestly, like I'm in touch with a bunch of book people, and they're like, "Isn't it draining talking to people about death all the time?" I was like, "No, I'm not talking to them about death. Are you silly? I'm more talking to them about protecting their loved ones and making a smart financial choice and making sure that they're really protected. It's kind of like getting insurance on your car, on your house. You just want to make sure people are buying a peace of mind. And it's funny. I mean, I thought that Bookfield has a lot of fun stories and people that you meet, but the demographic that I work with for the most part is 50 plus. So you meet some really fun individuals on a daily basis, I would say. But I'd say that the biggest difference I'm seeing is probably the fact that I get to wake up in my own home and I get to come back to my own home, which is a big victory. And it's kind of weird
Yes,
to
sir.
actually, this is my first summer not selling books and not leaving in 8 summers. And it's kind of feeling real that like, what? Those people downstairs are just like working hard and running with the book bags, and I don't have to do that. This is pretty cool. Well, it's kind of bittersweet. I almost cried in sales school a week ago when they were showing this Chris Salata video running with a book bag. I don't know if you remember
Yeah,
Rocky.
and his stride is like perfect. Yeah,
Yeah,
he looks like a gazelle.
yeah, yeah. So it gives me feelsies and all that, but biggest difference, I would say it's just a lot of more of an order taking versus actually selling. It's a lot more technical as a product, right? Because selling a
Right.
book is more like, hey, let me find the reason why you have to buy it, or you gotta buy it. Let me connect it with a bunch of names, and then let me just show you the books. However, here it's just I'm not gonna connect any names because you filled out the form. People normally fill out those forms, so we purchase leads. So those people are already with the hand up, like, hey, help me out. I need that, right? So you just basically reach out to them. You coming out to them, and then the product is a little bit more complicated than a book. It's
Right.
some medical underwriting and some questions on what they take as medications, and whether they're health things, and if they had a DUI or a felony, and then people get into the stories on how they did, and it's funny. So it's really interesting.
It's wild. I did insurance for like 4 or 5 years there, and it was like, "What?" Yeah,
I didn't know
you
that.
get some interesting. Yeah,
I didn't know.
it was more term. It was term insurance for younger folks, so it was
Uh-huh.
for so it wasn't as much as final expense. But yeah, I did life insurance for a while, and it's an interesting vibe because even if the person's all gung ho and they want to buy, like they could be total ponies, but something about them doesn't really fit. Maybe they don't qualify health wise or whatever, and it's over. So you're like, oh, dang it. Like I've never ran into this before where, you know, like usually when they were all about it,
Yeah.
you just got to check and just all right. No, that's not how it works.
You get to
So
be the one to tell them no, if anything. So that's pretty
yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
remember
works.
that.
I know the feeling too of like when people of sales school starting that next summer and you feel like just wait, dude. It's gonna be like mid of July on a Tuesday, and you're gonna be laying in a pool or something and go, oh my God, what am I doing? I need to be knocking on a door right now. I'm off schedule. Which
Literally, the other morning I woke up and I was like, man, those people are taking cold shower right now, and I haven't taken mine like this week yet. So this is kind of weird.
yeah,
Probably,
you know what that's
probably gonna
called? That's
do
called post-traumatic stress disorder. Is what
that. That's right. Well, I think it's let me think about it. I think it's more of a nostalgia about it, because I think post traumatic might be something, a lot more serious that we do, of
okay,
course, right?
fine.
People go to wars and
Stockholm
things.
syndrome.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So I would say this is just a little nostalgia about the good old times, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird feeling, especially when people are leaving, and you hear the stories, and there's a part of you that kind of just goes, "Oh man, just are you walking your dogs?" This happens to me sometimes. I'm walking my dog, and I just look at a door. I'm like, man, that's a nice door. That looks that looks really knockable. That
Remarkable.
looks, or no soliciting sign. Oh, you're like, "Ooh, ooh, let's go."
It's funny that you say that, because so I stopped selling books, and I was like, all right, I'll take a break because I deserved a break. It's been a great summer and all that. And then I was like, I'm probably gonna talk to Hans Schlegel from Thinking Ahead, the recruiting firm that Southwestern
Love
has.
Hans.
Great guy, great friend, great
We need
guy.
to get him on the show. You need to help me get him on here. I've asked him 3 times. I need to get Hans Schlegel on this show. It would be a great episode.
I would probably think it might be one of the greatest, just because of some of the stories that I heard from him from the
Oh,
book
they're
field.
awesome.
And I was legitimately, I was like crying. So this is really,
Dude,
really
he's got, and the way he just tells stories, it's just,
just,
and his
yeah.
laugh, it's just,
So
it'll work. It would work. But anyway,
Hans is
sorry. So
amazing.
you talked to Hans. Sorry,
Yes,
sorry to
absolutely.
interrupt.
I'll
Yeah.
try it. I'll try my best. It's funny because Seth and Zane and Joe, they asked me to recruit Matt Ross to participate on Elevate Fitness, and I'm a man on several missions right now, so I don't know how that's gonna go. But
You know,
yeah, this is a public recruiting announcement to put him on the
yeah, but
spot.
me first. But me first. But me first.
Yeah, right. I get it. We'll try. We'll see what's going on. I
I
only
put
have
in my worst player so you could beat Shane when I played you at the end of the season. I try. Come on.
It was
I'm not
not
in a
enough.
fantasy
I
league.
still did not win the money from my fantasy, so my wife might
Damn
say,
it.
I have different priorities now. But anyway, it's a
Anyway, sorry. So
so,
so you were talking to Hans. You were talking to
yeah,
Hans about what
so
to do. Sorry.
literally, I was like, all right. I came back home. I think it was August. I don't know, probably 22nd. I remember it was a Sunday night, and we had friends over, and Erin was really sweet, my wife, and she threw this little dinner, and we call it the family, and a bunch of book people that live in Nashville. That's where we live now. They came over, so we were celebrating. I was like, "Yay, that's awesome! I don't have to think about what my next step is gonna be." And then on Monday morning, no, on Sunday night, I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna just do anything for the next couple weeks. I'll just go to this VIP trip and whatever. And Aaron's like, I just text Hans, just see when he's available. And then I text Hans. And by the way, this is Dean right there in the corner. Dean, say hello. This is Matt Ross's cat that is staying over in Sales School. It's a new mascot. He's been rowdy out there. Dean. His name is Big Time Dean, just so you know. Yeah, he's a
Big Time Dean.
Ponytails episode. Anyway, he haunts at night. But so yeah, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take at least 2-3 weeks to relax and decompress. And after the summer, you're like, all right, I just want to do simple things. And then I end up just texting him like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, let's catch up for lunch tomorrow. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I love hanging out with Hans, great guy, as we figured it out earlier. And then I end up doing my career profile the next day. And then I end up getting recruited right away, basically to my new job that I enjoy doing. And the reason I started the story is that as soon as I got off the book field, 2 weeks later, I was slinging insurance because it takes some time to get the license going and all that. And I was still in my book field mode, and I was going through this little town in Middle Tennessee called Dixon, in Dixon County. And I was like, this turf is awesome. I would love to go out there. Coming back to your story about walking the dogs, right? I was like, I would totally love to be here, and I would totally love to sell books here. And I record Aaron a message. I was like, has anybody sold in Dixon County yet? This is such a great county. Just like, it never leaves you, I think. So,
no.
Yeah. So, long story short, that's how we got to this, right? So,
yeah,
that's where we are.
Well, and the funny thing is, so like I've met people who have kids. I've met people who, my 7th grader, with math, and I'm like, oh man, do I know people that you need to talk to, or what? You know what I'm saying? Like, it still sticks in there with you, and yeah. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but when you go through something like that, that's so hard, it just kind of nestles into your identity almost in a way. It's like kind of it's weird. It's weird for sure, but I understand what you're saying for sure.
I don't think it's an identity. I mean, it's just like, that's why I think there is such a weird, in a way, bookman, bookwoman connection that people carry through lives. That's why I think there is so many couples formed by book people, and we can just start counting and probably never finish. That's why I think you always is just and I think it's also because you're at this age when you're very easily impressed and you're so coachable, so it's kind of like engraved in your brain and in your soul, and it's giving you so much for your whole life that it just literally, you don't want it not be your identity unless you well, it's a story for another day, probably, right? But unless you haven't finished this summer or 2 or something like that. But honestly, in my case, when you do 8, I probably spent 2.5 years on the book field, something like that. So it's just out of the last 8 years, so it's almost 40% of my life.
That's
and
wild,
the other 60% I spent talking about how I'm gonna spend the other 2.5 summers. So it's like literally, yes.
Yeah. It never stops.
Yeah. No.
In fact, you probably work more hours during the fall or during the spring of full timing than you do in the summer. I feel like, I think it's more complicated. It's more complicated to full time than it is to sell door to door.
You see, so my experience with selling books is a little, I would say, unusual to an extent, because I've grasped recruiting in 3 different countries. Okay. So I've started as a Czech Republic bookman, right? I was an exchange student there, and then I recruited there, and then we opened a big market, how people sometimes say it's called Kazakhstan, right? So, and then I obviously ended up in the US, and I recruited full time in the US for a couple of years, which again, it was a weird recruiting season where it's been COVID and all that, but still it's kind of, I would say that I've never noticed the full-time recruiting the way it is in America, because our recruiting is way different out there. And of course we can
interesting. Yeah. let's dig into that. Whatever. We're here now. Let's go into that. Well, how is it different?
Well, first of all, the time when you recruit, time of the year when you recruit is different because our European Highlander GRS is in October. So that's when, yes.
What?
I don't
I
know,
didn't know this.
but
No.
so mid-October we get together, all the Highlanders. We have our own. Yeah, there you go. This is GRS. Hi, Amy, behind the scenes. She's pulling up those little things. This is awesome. I love that.
Welcome to the show, baby. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, this is real. I love that.
This is what do you think? We're professional. We take what we do seriously, but not ourselves.
You had to insert it there. This is awesome. So, first of all, yes, we started recruiting in October. Well, our GRS is in October. We start recruiting right off the book field. That's actually how I got recruited because my student leader took what check out back in the time, now check in meeting told them, right? Just go out there and talk to your friends and talk to your warm market. There you go. So first of all, yes, because of the visa situation, right? So it takes some time to get a J1 visa, which is exchange visitor visa. And we basically, I would say, yes, I would say that we still recruit until the last day before we leave for the summer. But in reality, our recruiting pretty much dies off in the end of March, where American recruiting just starts steaming up, right?
Great, yeah. Like I got recruited Wednesday before sales school. Yeah,
right.
We're still in. Yeah,
it's like, all right, this is when the 20-person teams happen and all that stuff. When ours are like, okay, we're pretty much done. So, who do we have on the visas, and who do we not have with the visas, and all that? Another difference would be, again, right, the US starts in pretty much February after GRS again. Another difference would be, I would say, you could get a bunch of, especially in Kazakhstan when we recruited there, as long as you say, let's go to America. And, it's like, yeah, let's go to America. Here you don't have this. Let's go to America. You're already in America. I think it's a little bit of a, it's a little bit of a different sale when you're telling people, let's go to the East Coast when you're in Nebraska, or, let's go to Mississippi and when you're in Michigan or something like that.
Right. It's kind of like that, but I feel like, and I was talking to a couple other Europeans, and to kind of iterate what you're saying, or like if I'm hearing you, is the opportunity of working in the United States when you're not from the United States is a lot of a more incentive, because it's just like a good place to to even put that on your resume is a phenomenal thing, right? Am I hearing you right? Is that what you're saying?
One of the info session selling points is like, go out there, learn English type of deal, get a fun travel experience, which
that's cool.
That's why I wanted to do that, because it makes sense. Why would you not want to? And again, going to the US for the summer, there is this other program called Work and Travel. So people would go. That's how my sister actually ended up going to the States. I have an older sister. She's 7 years older than I am. So when I was in middle school, she was in America as a lifeguard for the summer. So a very typical, high school type of job.
Right.
Checking tickets in the amusement parks, or being a lifeguard at a pool, or doing something else for $9 to $15 an hour or whatever. So that's a lot of Europeans and people from all over the world actually come to the US to do. It's called work and travel, right? So you get to work, you get to learn English, you get to experience some traveling around the States, which is pretty awesome, So that's why I was fired up about going to the States first. And that's basically how I heard about Southwestern. I was just looking for it myself. So I think that in a lot of people's brains, as a college student from where I'm from, it's very much like, oh, cool, that's an awesome experience to go to the US for the summer. Right. So that's a selling point by itself. So that's making it a lot simpler to recruit people, right? And when you get them to understand that it's also a great personal growth program, and they're going to communicate in English, and they're going to learn a lot more out of it, I think it just makes more sense. However, when I recruited at UTK, Go Vols, right here in the US, it was a lot more of like, I literally, I had to talk to Aaron and Matt. I was like, so what do I like? How do I? It took me a little longer to actually realize like why do people even want to sell books in the U.S. You know, they have all of those fancy internships lined up. It doesn't seem that an average bookman. It didn't seem to me back at that time that average bookman, you know, why would they not go do something else? So, you know, and again, it's me having sold books for 6, 7 summers at this time. So I had a big barrier to overcome here mentally. Is like, okay, well, I gotta sell the internship itself and the character building skills and the resume building skills and whatever else it does, you know, which we both know it's plenty of great things that Southwestern
Mhm.
develops. So it's kind of like it's a lot different, I would say, and this is where the cultural experience comes into play. So
Mm. Yeah, and I did want to ask you about that. So I think maybe it's a good time to switch into how you got into Southwestern and maybe start with your origin story, if that's cool. Do you want to switch into that? Do you mind
totally,
if we talk about that? Okay.
no,
Now,
no,
before we do that, I'll jump into that. I'll ask you. I'll ask you really quick where to start out. I do want to give couple of more highlights and shout outs to some of our other fans because this is a good time to do that since it's like a good pause break. And then, so do you mind if I brag about some of our alumni? Is that
let's
cool?
go.
Hell
Yes,
yeah! So we start
ads.
off right away with the one, the only Pat Roach in Southwestern Real Estate. Boom,
Oh,
right
I
there.
love
Now,
that.
dude,
Yes,
Pat, man, the coolest dude, right? And a really great company. So he took all of that drama, kind of crappy shit from Southwestern, threw it out the window, kept about 1% of it, and made it 99% drama free. And basically, what he does is in the real estate industry, there's about 95% rate of turnover, which means if you get licensed and you start about a year later, 95% of you are going to quit. But in Southwestern real estate, it's the opposite. 95% of the people in Southwestern real estate stay, which is crazy. A healthy six-figure income. And if you are a fan of helping people find their dream home, if you're like kind of getting into that game, it's too easy of an industry to mess up. Like it's so, especially with Southwestern real estate, because they really give you a good foundation to get started. All of the agents that we've had on the show here have talked about how awesome and flexible their schedule is, how amazing the culture is. And so please reach out to us if that's something that you want to get into right now. You're maybe not happy with what you're doing and you're like, man, I need something else and I need to work for a cool company. Damn, I don't know that there's a cooler one than Southwestern Real Estate. And so make sure you reach out to us about that. There's Pat Roach. Love you, Pat. Thank you so much. If you get a free interview, you get an automatic interview if you sold books. I also want to give a shout out to Dillon Barr over at Thought Leader. You can find his name down below. So they are into helping people do a TEDx talk. So Tim, if you ever want to go and do a stand in a red circle and look sharp like you do and just give a really good inspirational talk, you got to talk to Dillon Barr. But right now they're hiring, they're looking for people. So they have about 400 people who they've helped start a TEDx talk. And there's two roles that they're hiring for. One is the SDR role, which basically is you're calling warm leads, no more cold calling, no soliciting, calls. It's all warm leads where you're calling people to qualify them, make sure they're the right fit for the program. This is if you are not quite as confident with your sales skills, but you're sharp, you're good. You had a good first summer, maybe 1 or 2 summers, not the whole 8 summer experience like Tim has. And your resume is good, but all the other stuff isn't good enough, and you're trying to get some challenge, something new, something to grow in. That's what you want to land into. $50,000 to $75,000 a year to on target earnings. Then there's the other role, enrollment advisor. Basically, they make about $130,000 to $250,000 a year, and they are getting on and calling people, and their schedule's already filled up. So their sit downs are already scheduled, and they're just trying to make sure that people are the right fit for the program. And those are the two roles that they're looking for. Really, really high quality. We're looking for really high caliber people. Of course, if you're interested, make sure you email Dillon, who is their executive of sales and customer experience. That's Dillon Barr. That's DB, just DB at thought-leader.com. Thought as in THOUGHT, not the other thought. DB at thought-leader.com. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And then, of course, last but not least, one more time, we're going to shout out to Cardinal. So if you guys didn't hear about the first part, basically Cardinal started about 4 years ago. They've doubled or tripled in growth over the last 4 years. And in 2022, they're doing a big push to keep recruiting. It was started by Pedro Vega and Nick Dale. So for the month, they've had about 16 out of their entire agents gross over 25K. That's about 25% of their agents, and they do zero cold calling or prospecting. They work fresh, warm leads. They're working about 25 to 35 hours a week, and they're doing a really heavy push. If you recommend somebody and they get hired, you're going to get a $500 referral bonus. So make sure send someone over, and we'll try to get them in touch with Quentin. So shout out to you guys. Love you lots. Cardinal Senior Benefits. And now let's move on into how my man Tim got started.
Right there.
You know what? You're entitled. When we started
free ads right there,
dude.
Piggyback it up.
Absolutely.
Senior Benefits by card. No.
Listen. Here's the deal. No. You're good. You're good. Listen, when we started, like, for example, with Pat Roach in real estate, I'm like, hey, we're gonna have alumni that are in real estate that are not with Southwestern Real Estate. And he goes, I know, that's okay. Same thing with Cardinal, same thing with everybody else. It's like, you're free to talk about all you want. They know that this is an opportunity for people to talk about what they're doing. So all the and all of our sponsors believe in the abundance mentality. So yeah, there's no reason why two companies can't coexist. So we love that aspect of it, and that's the goal for us. Is we're just trying to make this network grow to the point where it's like, hey, we can reach anybody in the network because we did this crazy thing and we believe in each other, and that's what we're trying to go for. So hell yeah, you can totally promote your stuff too, bro.
Note on your comment on abundance mentality, because I think we might talk about that a little bit, but totally can vouch in the advertising space. I am a local client of Southwestern Real Estate, and 6-star service, highly recommend.
Is that Phil Zolke?
And Annika Kolb, great people, absolutely great people, and I know the people that they helped are also pretty cool. So, but Southwestern Legacy Insurance Group,
that's right.
We're hiring.
Listen. That's the same thing as you. That's the same thing as you being an Arsenal fan and me being a Manchester United fan. It's okay. We need to both.
No,
Manchester United. Otherwise,
I'm sorry, but I'm just kidding. All right, but
no, but you don't even know why I'm a fan of Manchester United. I have a legit reason. I
don't think there is a legit reason in the world to be a Manchester United fan.
There is. I promise you. This is it.
Maybe riding a little short bus when you were a kid, but doesn't seem that your reason should be. I don't know. I might be offensive, but I'm a true Arsenal fan. So I'm from the times when the fights between Patrice Vieira and Roy Keane were legit, when Manchester United was not. I respect the team. However, I do not like them at all.
I get it. Listen, I was in Europe, in London, couldn't find a ticket. I had to ask a member of the club member to buy me tickets, and I would pay for his ticket. So the fee was, listen, buy me a ticket. I will buy you your ticket, but just use your membership, because I don't want to buy a membership. It's like a $500 pound cost. He's like, all right. So he goes in, he comes back out, and he hands me his ticket. He goes, don't worry about it. It's on me. Welcome to England, mate. And he just walks off and goes into the game. And I'm like, damn. And then I proceed to go into the stadium in Old Trafford, at the side where all the fans are, like the singing fans, because that's the club members, and watch Zlatan Ibrahimovic score a hat trick against Saint Etienne with Paul Pogba, and it was crazy.
So you're saying
after that, I'm like,
you have absolutely no reason to be a Manchester United fan.
Well, I ain't seen no Arsenal guy give me some free tickets to Arsenal.
How easy is the fanship purchase? That's really interesting. I'm curious.
140 pounds, baby. 140 pounds in a really good seat.
Manchester United fan. This is awesome.
Hey, listen. If an Arsenal fan wants to buy me tickets to watch Arsenal play, at Wembley or whatever.
That if that's what you're trying to say, no, not at all. You just gotta
see. First. Fuck Arsenal then.
I love this episode.
Glory, Man United. All right, we probably lost a bunch of people listening at this point. Anyway, okay, let's wind the clocks back. We're not sponsored by United or by Arsenal, but we're
sponsored by Southwestern Legacy Insurance Group. But seriously, we've started pretty strong. I would say it's definitely the fastest growing company in the family of companies, and
you guys are crushing.
However, we do have flaws. We do have a lot of flaws, I would say, and I would be the first one to say that we do have plenty of mistakes we've done in the last year, and at the same time, plenty of growth that we've experienced, and we know the path that we're taking. I think the greatest part about what I've experienced in my job is just the fact that we get to make it however we want to make it, and we want to make it pretty badass, and we want to make it standing on Southwestern principles, loud and clear, and deep-rooted Southwestern culture should be a part of it. So, and the people that we work with are, pretty pumped about the mission as well. Anyway,
that's David Stewart was with you guys, right?
Let's go. No, I'm just kidding. All right, stop.
I love it. No, hey man, you're all you want, baby. You can talk about it all you want.
Hit up Phil and Annika. They're great here in Nashville. And Raising D-Bar, love this guy too. I've heard he's great.
Dude, Dillon is the funniest guy ever.
Yeah,
he's so funny.
For sure. Where were we?
Oh, we were here. So let's back up. So Kazakhstan, how did you end up in Prague? How did you end up in the United States of America in Nashville, Tennessee, knocking on some binder?
Oh man, wow. So I grew up in Kazakhstan, was raised and born in the city of Kostanay. Basically probably about an hour from Russia. I know if people are like, but he's from Kazakhstan, he looks kind of, well, Kazakhstan has 130 nationalities, just so you guys know, and it's the 9th largest country in the world. Look it on Google. If you don't know, look it up. It's pretty cool. Lots of land, not a lot of people. So I grew up there, very, simple, I would say, upbringing where always taught how to work hard and study hard and be coachable, haha. But always, my mom always was a believer, and still is actually, in like education, and she was all above and beyond to help me do well in life, which extremely grateful I am for that. And to be completely honest, Kazakhstan is a great country with a lot of human capital, lots of great people, just overflown with great, caring, hardworking, really dedicated people to the greater mission. However, the field or the ground in Kazakhstan is not still established for having those people blossom in this environment. Let's put it this way. There are a couple of great universities, like one of them is Nazarbayev University, named after our first president, which was our big campus for recruiting 6 years down the road, right after how I got recruited and everything. There are a couple other schools, but the reason I actually went to Czech Republic is because people that want to, go to good school and maybe proceed with some really cool career, unfortunately, I would say, and I don't want to put a stamp on it, but at the same time, I think that majority of them will have to leave. So in my case, so like a lot of my buddies from high school, from my school, that would normally go to like St. Petersburg, Russia, or Moscow, Russia, or some really good technical schools in Russia. And a lot of them will try to go to Europe. And 11th grade, right, just starts. In my country, school is 11th grade, it's not 12th. We do it faster. And
you're so smart.
I know, right? Absolutely. But
it's honestly, that CEA.
Having sold educational books for 8 summers, I'm extremely grateful for my education that I got in my country. Like, absolutely, like, great foundational education. I would never change it. If God's blessing I ever have kids, I would want them to go through that. I don't know how that's going to look like, but and how realistic it is. But when I was going through school, it was awesome. I loved everything. I was loved and appreciated by the teachers. They poured into me. So anyway, it was really, really awesome. But for college/university education, I had to leave the country, unfortunately. And I was already at this meeting where universities from St. Petersburg were presenting and kind of like showing which one of them is the best. So I was literally almost recruited to go and study in St. Petersburg, Russia. And literally the last moment of this presentation, this little lady comes on stage, and I'm from a small town. Everybody knows everybody. And she's like, hey, yeah, there is this opportunity to go to the Czech Republic. Education is free, and it's high class, world class, basically, universities and education. And my mom and I, we knew this lady, so we're like grabbing her. I don't come from a lot of money, so money was a big question. However, my mom was always like, hey, if I need to work 36 hours a day, I will do that to get you through school. So totally appreciative about that. But
Yeah.
we
Wow.
talked to this lady, and she's like, yeah, you just have to have a foundation year where you go to the Czech Republic and you live in a dorm and you learn Czech so that you can study in Czech. And if you study in Czech in a Czech state university, which I ended up doing, you basically get tuition covered. And I was like, sign me up.
Yes.
Yes, 2 weeks later, I was already preparing for my visa interview and all that. I was one of the first ones to actually know where I'm going, what I want to do. And then I went to the Czech Republic and found out that besides Czech, I would also need Spanish, which was like, all right, let's do it.
Yep.
And I had a year to learn 2 languages, which was really interesting. So I started picking up some Spanish courses, working at the same time. I worked nights, and then going to the Czech classes, trying to grasp to as much Czech that I could possibly grasp to, and then got accepted to the best economics school out there, University of Economics in Czech Republic. They're very creative in their names.
Damn, check out the big brain on Tim.
Oh yeah, so not to
Damn.
brag about it in any case
No,
possible.
hey,
But
you can't. That's not bragging. This is what happened. It's okay.
facts. Let's talk
Yeah.
facts.
It's like I sold 25,000 units. That's not bragging. That happened.
The fact. Well, I haven't, so
Well,
I
but
did
you know what
not
I'm
do
saying.
that. I might come back for another summer. Hey, there's still sales school going on downstairs if you don't
Don't you
remember.
dare. I will not air
Let's
this.
not talk about coming back to the book field.
I will not. I will not. That you will no longer be an alumni. I will not air this. Don't you
Yes.
dare.
All right.
It's a
Well,
great-
I'm an active bookman then because I've done the real deal 3 hours ago and PC'd a couple of them. But basically, yeah. So ended up going to school there, and my sophomore year just started, and I was like, all right, last summer I spent in Switzerland. I was doing something fun with my buddies. It was my first summer in Czech Republic. And then I was like, I remember back in 2008, when I was in middle school, my sister went to the US and she picked up a great deal of English. She made some money because she's a hard worker. And she was just doing this, random lifeguard housekeeper job. I was like, how do I get into this from Czech Republic? I know how to do it in Kazakhstan. There are just agencies doing that. But of course, it was my second year in Prague. So I had no idea. However, in my English class, there was a girl. Her name is Eva Matiaskova. She's Czech. And I had her as a friend on Facebook. And I saw those, cliche pictures from Empire State Building with the Starbucks cup. And I was like, this is America.
Oh.
This girl was
shit.
there. So I meet her in a corridor on campus. And I was like, hey, I know you've been to the US. How did you go? Like literally it's been October or even, first week of school. So in Prague, we started 24th of September, 20th of something like this of September. So literally she just got back from her first summer. She posted this picture on her Facebook. I don't think Insta was around this time. If it was, it wasn't popular. And I basically grabbed her and I was like, hey, tell me about this. And she's like, well, let me text you and then we'll grab coffee. I was like, text me? We don't even have each other's number. And then she shoots me a message on Messenger. And she's clueless, absolutely. She just finished her first summer. She sold, 1,600 units. There is going to be explanation of what a unit is right now. She was a top first year. So she was just like working hard. There you go. Let's go. So I know, that's awesome. So she's a badass, and she had no idea what's going on. She was obviously not taught how to recruit yet, but she was like, I just want to share about that. And she invites me to a little cafeteria on campus and tells me about the program. I don't think I had any doubts at all. I was actually like, would I be taken to this? And I was pretty sweating on my final interview, which was ran by my Yeah. So it was just like, all right, well, I gotta present this book the right way, It's just like so. I ended up being recruited again pretty early on. I would say October. I was already on board. I never got cold at all. I was just this Sally Southwestern or Sammy Southwestern, whatever you want to call it. And then, gosh, I probably thought that I would do just great without much prep. So I was like, all right, and Eva
Don't
will
we all?
probably say that Eva would probably say that I did not do a good job at preparing for the summer, which I would probably second her on that because I was like, that's easy. I just got to work hard. Let's go. I know a little bit of English, so I probably would learn in college still. So yeah, this how I got recruited. This how I ended up.
So okay, so I got some follow-up questions, a couple of things.
Go for
So
it.
number one, and I like to ask this for a lot of, especially people who sell a lot of books, but was it the opportunity to come to the United States to work, or was it the challenge? What was like the biggest? Because when I ask this of alumni of the United States, they always go, "Oh, the money sounded good, or the opportunity, or the resume building, and all that stuff." But then I ask them, "What really was it, though?" And it's always something else. It's always something inside of like the challenge and the scary unknown, but something within you called like, what was it for you? Was it really just the opportunity, or was there something else inside of you that really drew you to do this crazy ass thing?
Man, I would probably lie if I didn't say it was the money as well, right? But honestly, again, I was just always growing up. I think one thing that I'm grateful to my parents and my sister, who was kind of like a semi-parent, let's put it this way. She was a big influence. I would say I was always up for a challenge. I do believe that, and again, I don't want to lie because it's been 9 years almost ago, which is crazy to think about
Wild,
that.
right?
Wow, yeah, almost a decade ago. But I do believe that the fact this just the fact that you get to be surrounded by badass people, they know what they're doing. The company has been around for a while, and they want hardworking people to work with them. I think that kind of got me, into this uh, cult society, high end, let's go and do it. So I think I did not even hesitate about that. But then, of course, I remember again when I was in middle school, my sister went to the States. She told me about how she traveled, she learned English. I already knew that part. Like that was brewing in my brain for at least 5 years at this point.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think that's the biggest part. I would say the challenge, actually, as
Yeah.
cliche as it might sound, but
No,
yeah, it still is probably the
you
challenge.
know, that's actually kind of been a pretty common answer, which I think there's something to that. I've always theorized that nobody recruits. People like to think that they recruited 10 people. No, they just found 10 people who recruited themselves. Because I think that we're ponies.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You and I and everybody that sold books. There's people out there who are waiting at that time to find something that's really going to push them to do something that they've never done before. Now, here's the thing: you moved from Kazakhstan, which is to Prague. It's the Czech Republic, which is hard. You left your family. This is a whole new thing. You didn't come from money, so you've been through hard things before, right? My family moved here. We were going to get murdered, right? Other people had grew up hard, and I'm not saying this is the case for everybody. No, no, no. But I think the thing that we do have in common is this is the first time that we can choose to do something hard that we choose, right? Because you didn't choose to not grow up in money.
Mhm.
I didn't choose to almost get murdered. Other people didn't choose the circumstances, but now they stumbled upon this thing where it's like, hey, this is hard. It's gonna suck. You might make some money, you might not. You might travel, you might not. None of this stuff is guaranteed, but there's an opportunity for it. But the biggest thing that we can guarantee is that it's going to be hard. And I think that choosing that is what makes us us. You know what I mean? And that's not to sound elitist or what, like people who didn't sell books aren't not. That happens for people and other things all the time. But at least
No,
for us at
only
that time,
Southwestern. I'm
but
just
do you know
kidding.
what I mean? Like, does that make sense? I don't know if I'm like maybe hitting something there or not, but that's how I feel. Like my experience of after recording so many of these episodes and talking to so many people that did this, like it. I think that that's the common thread that makes us all the same. Like you grew up in a small town in Kazakhstan. I was born in a small town in Colombia, and I've talked to people who grew up in Nebraska, Oregon, Portland, whatever. And we all had all these different things. Some of us had money, some of us didn't. Siblings that were cool, some were not. Some were only children. Some had all their parents. Some had parents that died. Whatever. But at that moment, at that point in our lives, we all were at the same place where we said, you know what? I need to do this for me to grow and to change and to be better because there's more in here, right? You know what I mean? Is that, I don't
This
know
is
if I'm
deep.
hitting the
I
right.
like that. You are.
I don't know. That's what I think. But I think
No,
that's
I
cool,
like
man.
that. Right.
And I could feel it, but the way you're talking about it, and it's really cool. So that's awesome, man.
I agree.
Did you know English at this point? And because I know you were some Czechs, you were learning some Czech, you were learning some Spanish, but how was your English? Like, were you
I was
nervous
a
about that at
full-time
all, or
Czech language student, just so you know. Like my law class was full Czech class,
that's
which
bananas,
luckily
dude?
my native tongue is Russian, so that's where I grew up
Right, I was gonna say it.
talking, speaking. So Czech Republic and Czech language and Russian are kind of like cousins, right? So very close, kind of like Portuguese and Spanish, you can
In
call it.
Spanish, yeah. So it's like close
Yeah.
enough that you're like, all right, I got
But,
it.
but still, right? You got to be like, all right, am I speaking Portuguese or am I speaking Spanish, right? You got to be like
Right.
really careful. English, I would say, I started learning in elementary school, but we did not go past present continuous and present simple. I remember how my teacher used to like, Timur, tell us about who's absent in the classroom. And you would have to get up and like, Johnny is absent in the classroom. Thank you, Timur. And you got to sit down. Like literally, that was my English. And then some Ivan, tell us what's the weather like outside. The weather is sunny. Thank you, Ivan. Sit down. So like this was my English until grade 9. When my mom was like, all right, do you want a tutor? So I started learning English with this lady. We started reading those books. Badger the Digger. I remember those kids' books we started to read, and I started learning those words meticulously. So it was funny. I still remember those like thin books that she had. And God bless
My
her.
fun
She's
with words. Can you imagine?
something like that. Very, very close. There was a storyline about the badger
She's a
who was the
solid
bigger,
Mufu.
right? So just so you know. But I think I spoke some of English. I mean, I studied, I went to school for international trade. So again, I picked up some English from my 9th grade up to this point. However, I could not have a full-on conversation with an American about their kid education when I started selling books. No.
Okay. So on that, okay, so let me then, okay, so you get recruited, getting prepared, and then you freaking fly. So you from Prague to Nashville, or how did you, what way did you come? Do you remember?
I remember it vividly. I remember flying Prague to Newark.
Miami?
Newark.
Oh, Jesus, you flew
Being
into New
stuck there for
Jersey.
21
That was your
hours.
first fucking experience of the
I know.
United States is New Jersey.
21 hours. There was storms going on. 21 hours we were at the airport. I was like,
Oh no, the only worst place is Mississippi.
no, yeah, it's just, yeah. Oh, man.
Oh
You got to
shit.
buy
So
the
you
flight, right? So, and then Newark to Nashville. 21 hours later. That was my
when
first
you get here, everything's bigger, right? I've asked this to a lot of the Europeans. I feel like when I first moved here, all the things are bigger. Like all the buildings, the signs, the roads, everything seemed bigger, I think.
like, why do you have to drive this big of a bus for 5 people? Like, what is your problem? Why are the roads so wide? It's just crazy. Everything's so big. Yes, literally, you're like,
Everything's bigger. It's because they're all so fat.
yeah. Well, I did have. I'm not gonna lie. I did have the thought that all Americans are fat before I came to America. I was
Okay.
like, all Americans are fat. But
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you, what was the stereotypes? Like, what were things that you were like, all right, this is like in Kazakhstan or in the Czech Republic, what are the stereotypes when you were coming here? What were you picturing? So people were fat. That's one. What else were you like expecting?
man, they're
Cowboy
just
hats?
not that much. And again, it's probably been influenced by my sister as well. I definitely thought that Americans are very surfacey. What I mean by that is that where I'm coming from, if you ask somebody in the street how they're doing, they're gonna look at you and be like, "Why are you asking me that? Like, why do you talk to me? Like, leave me alone." So it's like it's a bunch of concrete at first that you gotta go through and dig through, but then it's just very soft and welcoming environment, right? You're like, if you're friends forever. Like this is it. But I had, and again, I thought about it before I came to the States that um, Americans would be like, hi to everybody. But then if it gets to like real friendship shit where people need you, it's going to be like everywhere. There's no help. Nobody is willing to do anything for you. They're just like, hi, how are you? Good dog. This was my perception of America when I came here. Yeah.
Wow.
So again,
that's wild, dude.
Where I came from. So it was really
well,
really...
and it depends on where you go. I mean, because in Nebraska, it is. You talk to people, they're like, "Hi, everyone." Is like, "Hello." If you in Nebraska, if you're pulled over on the street, almost like especially like on the highway or like on a middle of nowhere road, you will have people stop and go, "What are you doing? Are you okay? Everything okay? Can we help you?" That's actually how it works. Everybody, like almost every car that just drives by. Now, my second summer, I sold in Massachusetts. Holy shit. Not like that at all. They are so mean, so rude. Like, you knock on the door, what the fuck do you want? I'm like, are you the dad? Yeah, what do you want? Like, come on, let's go. Like, it's just, they were proudly calling themselves mass holes in Massachusetts. It was like, oh, have you met a lot of mass holes? We're great, right? And I'm like, no, it sucks when you're going door to door to run into mass. So I guess it kind of just depends on where you're at. But in New Jersey,
I'm always curious and kind of jealous that we never got to go sell there, and it's so fun. It sounds like this is the part of the U.S. that I didn't get to go sell or didn't get to go travel outside of New York.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go your first summer?
My first summer was Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm really
beautiful.
For that. Yeah. However, Colorado Springs is pretty hilly, and I did not have a car. And yeah, and we knock for bikes, right? So I knock on this door of this dude, and he was like, "I got a bike for you," and he walks me to his backyard, and I was like, "Yeah, I got a bike. Let's go. It's gonna be my summer." And then I see there is like it's literally in the chicken coop, and there is chicken shit all over it, and this little bike of his already grown up used to be seventh grade granddaughter that so I'm 6'5", right? For my non-American friends, 195 centimeters tall. So I've been hitting.
We should have the metric system show up.
Yeah, right. You should definitely start. It's a European June. Come on, bro. You gotta start the pounds, miles. Oh my!
Kilometers.
Yeah.
You're 6'5" on a 7th grade girl's bike, covered in chicken shit. With all this chicken shit, there's got to be a bike somewhere.
Yeah, right. There's a pony somewhere. You're good at that stuff. I like that. Are you running a podcast?
Well, thanks, dude. I've been doing this for a little bit, so it's not. I've used that joke before. I think. I don't know.
Okay.
Probably not. I don't know. I'm just talking, man.
Good. Talking, drinking, having fun.
That's right. So you're going uphill. So by the end of by September, your ass is looking better than Cristiano Ronaldo's. It's looking like, whew. You're looking. Your legs are just.
Soccer fan. I've never specifically taken a look at his ass, but I would assume it's good. So
it's got to be nice.
Well, you're a Manchester United fan, so you probably did.
Dude, the rest of him looks nice. I mean, it would be a bummer if everything about Ronaldo looks great, and then that, But okay, so hang on. So
I've been ripped.
So Colorado Springs, and you just that's where you go to Nashville sales school. Crazy, right? Like, what was that experience like to meet Dan Moore and all this stuff? It must have been
I've been hard on Southwestern cocaine. I would say I would have been like, "Send me to the book field." Life for Southwestern. I've been one of those first years that, like, I've been in the circle and the real deal, and we had this fierce competition with this other guy who's actually one of the sponsors of Ponytail podcast, Rado Ivanov,
Yeah.
historical park in Bulgaria. So we've been literally like, I hated this guy in my first half of the summer, like, and then we became buddies. We haven't talked in a while, but it's still like very warm kind of memory. But we've been like the top guys in the sales school out of first years, trying to get this approach contest won. So I was like really bought in. Like, I was the first year you want to have on the team in sales school.
You're the guy. So you show up to Colorado. Is that what you pictured? Because I feel like even in the United States, when they tell you what your turf is going to be like, and then you show up to your turf, it's so not what you pictured. Well, what was it like to just arrive in your first store? Like, what was that like?
That was an awesome experience. I talked to a lot of American book people, and they're like, "Where did you sell it first time?" I was like, "Colorado Springs." They're like, "No way, seriously?"
That's
I think
nice,
it's just,
dude.
I mean, is there a more beautiful place to go sell for the first time being in America? I don't think so. However, I did not feel that for the first 3 weeks, besides being on a schedule, right? Besides having not sold anything on this bike. And my this elevation was killing me. My lips were chopped, and they were bleeding because there is like no oxygen in the air. So I was like on this bike, literally. Oh gosh, that was so. The scenery and the nature and everything, and I'm still amazed to this day about America, how in the nature do people live here. It's pretty awesome. Like, I've been
Oh,
just so fascinated by how many trees and how many cool places are there. Man, my turf was Garden of the Gods. I don't know if people know Colorado Springs that well. I was literally
mhm.
working northwest part of Colorado Springs, the best part. Garden of the Gods,
It's beautiful.
the Pikes Peak, Air Force Academy. This is my turf. And I was like, yay.
Jeez, dude.
So it was way above and beyond of what I imagined the the book field looking like, of course. Not the sales part,
Dude.
but
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So how did it go for you? Like the sales part of it. What was the biggest challenge? And did you have a moment where you thought about going home, or were you like completely
No,
bought in the whole time?
no, never. Pasha,
Wow.
a great buddy of mine, he was my roommate.
Love Pasha.
Yeah, he's my
You were roommates with Pasha?
Oh yeah, dude. Several summers
Oh,
actually.
dude. Oh,
Number
you were you the one that was that the story he told me about the van? It was kind of a dark story.
the van.
Yeah, with
Tell me a
the
little more.
kids. It was the kind of a dark story. I don't know if that's a story for another time. But he was telling me I was
Probably
in
is. I
Nashville.
just don't remember, honestly. I don't think it is, but
Ah, dude.
I don't know what
I was
context you need.
I'll give you the context. So I was in Nashville for the Lee McCroskey beer party. That by
Mhm.
the way,
That I missed.
you
Well, hey,
missed.
I recruited a lot of people to go there. I just couldn't. I had some prior
You're right.
commitments.
You're right.
You know.
Now I'm really not an Arsenal fan. But anyway, so but afterwards, Pasha came. Pasha is an amazing human. He's gonna be on the show, not in June, but he'll be in the show probably in September, is what we're looking at right now. But anyway, um, he was telling me a story about the time where there was a kid who came out and he was driving a van full of first years and they got in a car accident and it was not good. Was that you?
Oh
Were you
yeah.
the other OL? Was that
No, I
you?
was not. Luckily, I was not. Yeah, when they had to call the helicopter, and yeah, that was really nasty. Um,
Yeah, that could be a story for another time. He could tell us that story. It's okay. But he told
Totally,
me the story, and I
totally.
was like,
It's not my story to tell, and I know he has a
yeah,
big emotional connection with the person that.
yeah.
Anyway, story for another
We'll let
time.
him tell a story for another time for sure. But he
Let's
was
screw it
with.
up.
It was another OL that was Tim, right? His name was also Tim, but it was not you. It
Um,
was a different Tim.
it
I
was
thought he
this
said it was
British
Tim.
guy. I think it was Tim Walkinshaw. Gosh, David
Yes.
Walkinshaw and Tim. I don't remember. I might be butchering names right now, but it was one of the British guys
Okay.
that
Okay. He just told me he
was.
was with Tim, and I didn't know if that was you. So now you said that, and I was like, oh shit, I wonder if
This
it
was
was
this
you
was
too.
before.
Okay.
Pasha's way older than I am.
Yeah.
Well, a little older. Let's put it this way. I'm in the zone where I can roast him however I want, I guess. So, but I lived with him my first summer. I went out and sold a little bit after my 7th summer for a month. We lived together then. I lived with him my 5th summer. So it's like I lived with him a little bit in Prague here and there, So I've snuggled with him quite,
Oh,
you know.
I wish. I wish.
Only the
So
chosen ones get to do that.
hell yeah, baby. I'm working my way. I'm working my way. So let me ask you this. So 8 summers. So let just a quick rundown. So Colorado Springs, then
Washington State, your Carver and Puyallup. I know, I'm lucky here too.
beautiful, dude. My
Then
God. Okay, we'll get to that. Then
armpit of California, Bakersfield.
nice.
Number 4 was Salinas, California, right outside of Santa Cruz. Beautiful.
Okay.
You could be jealous about this one.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Number 5, San Jose, California, right outside of Apple.
Also beautiful. The Bay.
Pretty awesome. Number 6, Middle California, right outside of Sacramento. And then
Cali.
Indy. Yeah. And I mean,
Indy.
I went and followed people in a little bit for like 3-4 weeks in Michigan in the end of one of the summers. So that was pretty cool. Indiana, that was awesome. And Oklahoma, God's country, number 8.
Wow, dude. You were all over. So you saw the whole gambit. Now, of the American culture or the United States culture, I don't like saying American because I feel like the United States of the United States culture. What was like the biggest differences in like each place that you saw from your standpoint? Because I feel like that's Indiana and California and Seattle or like Washington, not the same place. They're almost like different countries. What would you say in your mind that you saw was the biggest differences?
Man, I don't know if people answer to this question. And again, I haven't seen a bunch of episodes, and I don't know if you ask this question frequently or not. But
I do not.
It's kind of like it's all 1 8 summers long summer to me. It's like what? And I'm trying to kind of like dissolve them by pieces. Man, I would say the Californian turf. 4 summers in California, each of them was different. It's just like different parts of California,
Really?
like San Jose, highly engineering degree infused turf versus Bakersfield, California, 96% Hispanic turf that I worked. Absolutely different experience, It's just like,
hola, me llamo Tim.
Timoteo. Just like Timoteo. No soy gringo o gabacho. And they laugh. So that's pretty awesome. I know. They're like, what?
That's
You're
so
not a
funny,
gringo?
dude.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm not a gringo. Hello. Europeo.
Soy ruso. Soy europeo.
Okay. So it was
like you can come in. You're not immigration. Come on in.
And there was a lot of people from Oaxaca. And for those who doesn't know, Oaxaca people, they're probably like 3 feet tall for the most part. Again, not trying to, I'm trying to be politically correct here. And I'm like twice as tall as they are. And I'm like looking up at them. And they're like, what's going on here? I'm like, I'm selling books. So it was a very interesting interaction. Indiana, Midwest. I mean, my wife's from Midwest. So that was like, it was awesome. I love the corn. I've never seen so much corn. I was like, you guys have so much corn. And everybody felt I'm an idiot because I'm like, corn, let's go. And they're like, this is corn, dude. This is all we see here. So it was awesome. Oklahoma, man, I would say, again, it was my last summer. I had a great family that I lived with. Shout out to the Crack family. Rendell is out there slinging books right now. Yes, I stayed with his parents. And I had a warm homemade meal every night of the summer. This is the best host family. Not talking about the meals itself, but like the best people in the world. Love them to death. Great people. Thanks for Rendell. Thanks for being parented by your parents. Anyway, but
that's cool.
That obviously, and again, I had great host families all the way through, right? I had awesome experiences all the way through, but like this was kind of like all right, this is the way to go for the last summer. Great host family. I lived with Josh Ignis in my HQ. So
Oh,
two OLs lived
dude.
together, 0 first years. I was like, let's go. I could focus on selling. People were super laid back, South, right? So just like
Yep.
a bunch of Indian Native Americans. Great culture to share here. Like, and again, Washington would be a lot of like the community I worked was Gig Harbor, so like a lot of retirees that retired from Amazon. You know Gig Harbor?
Yeah, my wife's sister lives in Gig Harbor.
This is awesome. I sold there,
Yeah,
man.
it's so beautiful there. You probably knocked on their door. It's
I crossed
crazy.
Tacoma
The view
Bridge.
of Rainier every week.
Yes,
Yeah, you cross a
every
bridge
night,
and then
bro. Red Sun,
it's
Mount Rainier.
wild.
Yes. Oh my, this
It's
is
so crazy. Like, so she lives. Oh my, wow! I could talk to you about this for a while, but you should cross a bridge, a couple exits out, and they live right on the sound. So it's like when you like her house, you could see the water, and it faces. So you go and if you go just a little bit further up, there's like a little break in the trees, and it's
yep,
just boom, Mount Rainier, and you're like, this is freaking nuts. It's so beautiful.
yep.
It's it's so pretty there, dude. You
I
sold in
love
the
it.
prettiest town, like
I know. I'm blessed.
parts of the
I am
US.
totally blessed by the book gods, I guess. I don't know,
Wow.
and by a great OL. You know
It's
that
called
can
the
be.
Gardens of the Gods where you sold.
I know.
Like,
Yeah, Garden of the
and
Gods.
it's
I mean,
appropriately so named. Yeah, it's amazing.
it is. So
Anyway, sorry.
people
Sorry.
wise, no, you're fine. I mean, we're talking about it, right? We're having a conversation,
Yes,
a
sir.
dialogue. But gosh, I mean, just different people. You know, I loved sitting down with those super analytical, for the most part, Indian and Chinese people in San Jose, where they when they say we need to
Yeah.
think about it, they literally needed to think about it. I was like,
Yeah.
screw you guys.
I had
Yeah,
it. So I what you say that this reminds me. So I sold in so when I was in Massachusetts, I told you I was in Massachusetts. I sold in a town called North Andover, Massachusetts. Now, Massachusetts, it's a really weird. There's no state like Massachusetts. Even like Connecticut's kind of similar, Rhode Island, but really, even if you compare it, it's not even close. The reason I'm saying this is because North Andover is in Andover, really, it's whatever, same area, has in it the like most expensive high school in the United States. It's a private school called Andover, Phillips Exeter Andover. And basically, just so kind of to give you a perspective, 75% of the graduation rate of those children that go to that school go to Harvard. It's like the Kennedys, the Chinese emperor's daughters have gone there, like Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or what, I don't know if that's right. But the point is, George W. Bush's kids, like rich, high class, like high profile people. And I was in that turf. And so same thing where you would like knock, and I mean Harvard professors is what I'm talking to. I'm talking to like just MIT grads, like high end like education. So you knock and they're like, yeah, we got to think about it. And like you said, when they say that, it's not that it's not an objection. It's like, no, we actually have to think about this.
yeah.
Like it's actually so I get you, man. It's a different kind of person
Your
for
names
sure.
are pretty cool. I was just sitting down with the Kennedys and the Bushes and thinking,
Dude, I was striking out, and the houses, they're huge. I mean, they're $1 million, millions and millions. The average, I sold in neighborhoods where the average house in that like development was $2.5 million. Like that was the average home. So the further you got into the development, like the bigger the
trailer
houses
parks,
got.
man.
Yeah, it's crazy. I got to a place where it was like a little condominium place, and I knocked on the door, and it was the math teacher of the ninth grade math teacher of the school. And she bought two sets. She bought one set for her kids, one for her classroom. And once I had that name, ooh, it was game over, dude. I was like, oh, I don't know if you
Yeah.
know Dr. Blank, but she bought two sets. And they're like, oh, okay, well then if she thinks that this is important, yeah, whatever. What do they cost? $900. Okay, do you take check? Like nothing. It was just like, just get if you got to sit down, they were buying. But the
Yeah.
trick was to get the sit down. It's such a different crowd, dude. Wow. So they were like all these tech people over in San Jose, just
Yep.
different people.
So again, right,
Wow.
different turf, absolutely. And then Indiana, all the farmlands, is just so different. Again, Shafter, California, outside of Bakersfield, everybody works in the almond fields. Like I had almond butter made by farmers and a bunch of strawberries that I would bring home every night. It was amazing. It was just good. So yeah, it's just different
Wow.
today. And honestly, don't remember much about Washington that much besides this alum, Dave Carlson, who's like a partner in a big time law firm. He took us for a Sunday meeting to Columbia Tower, basically
Oh,
like one
nice.
of the skyscrapers in Seattle, and we were just hanging out at his house. Just a great memory of this. It was awesome.
If you have his contact, we should get him on the show.
All right, I probably do. He was pretty engaged. He was pretty cool. Then
Heck
you would
yeah.
have to
Elliot.
promote Southwestern Legacy Insurance Group. Would have to say partner of the show and put Southwestern here, and
Hey, listen. We got when the contract's up, we'll talk about it. Right now, they're happy about it. Did you ever meet Elliot Cohen? Elliot is in Seattle.
Everything is sold for the right price, right? I'm just joking.
I gotta feed my dogs, man. My wife can feed herself, but I gotta feed them dogs.
Yes. Can you just imagine that Ponytails podcast could be the reason why Southwestern Legacy will become the greatest final expense and life insurance producer and a firm in the country? Can you imagine?
Listen, I'm gonna write that down and I'm gonna say that to everybody. Like, can you imagine why insert your company here can become the great?
I write you guys a but if you like it, it's fine. If not, no big deal. Just like insert this little thing out there.
This is a buying atmosphere if you like it. Well, and here's the thing: is speaking of why people like sponsored us, here was our approach was like, listen, we have the eyes and ears of sometimes, if not almost consistently, thousands of book people primarily. What do you want to say to them?
Yeah.
Right, because we're all interested in catching up with what we're doing. Everybody's curious to see what's this person doing now? What's this person doing now? Let them know, right? Because our goal. So our mission statement is to be the person where the network, to recreate the network itself, right? 100,000 living alumni, and I'm like, where the hell are they? That's what we're finding is where are they? We're finding them out. We're 100 plus episodes in.
Podcast to recruit a bunch of people to sell insurance with Tim and Southwestern Legacy.
Look at that. This is like subliminal messaging right in there. He's just inserting it right there. That's right, baby. Listen, hey, if you're hiring, people can go talk to you too. Why not?
Well, heck yeah. Who's not hiring when it gets to salespeople?
Yeah, we are. Our team is full. We have 6 people now on our team.
Let's go. I know Nick. I know Amy now. I know Naomi. Who else is there?
We got Heather Dutton.
Okay, this is awesome. Okay.
You know Heather?
I mean, we've met, yes, and I've heard great things about her.
Yeah, she's awesome.
It's awesome. Yes, absolutely.
Heather, my youngest brother Julian is running our SEO on YouTube.
Okay.
He's big on. He's in the film school at UNL, so he's like, and so he's doing great. And then myself.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about you.
You got 6 people. Yes, I mean I'm doing. This is all I get to do. I have the fun part, luckily for me. But to be honest with you, this doesn't work without that whole team doing their thing. And big shout out, and love to them, because man, I'm a small cog in this big wheel that's become this show, man. And it's been such a fun experience. Like
a very Dan Moore way of you to say that right now. Like it's not it's all about those hardworking people.
But it is. I can't look if they all decided to quit on me. Well, I mean, I'm just saying if they all decided to quit on me, I'm done. I mean, it's over. You know what I mean? It's I owe them all of
stop. It. No, I'm just kidding. But this is like really what this sounds like to me. Which it's not. Nothing's wrong about it. It does. So I love that.
Fair enough. I mean, listen, I'm not gonna not take a comparison to Dan Moore. You know what I'm saying? Like,
damn credit. You're good. You're the man in the mic with the microphone. You're running the show. Wrote the book, Cost of Citizenship. Big time. Love it. Yeah, let's go.
I did write that book. You're right. I'll send you a copy.
There you go.
Or get yourself a copy, and then I'll send you a copy to give to a friend.
Citizenship is pretty expensive in my
Oh, okay. Let me ask you about this. You met your wife through this. Let's
I did.
unless that's your pony. Is that your ponytail or not? Is that not?
I haven't thought about it yet. We're an hour 24 and 22 seconds into the story, but I have so many of them. I guess
we could dig
talk
in.
about my life. I mean, I don't want to. You know, there's this. I don't know if it's a ponytail because I thought ponytail should be about the Bookfield story, which I met her outside.
Sure.
So, but yeah.
So let's talk about your wife. So that's crazy. You became, and this is part of kind of on the theme that we're talking about of like your experience as a European, as a person outside of the United States, coming here and learning it. So did you ever think that your wife was going to be from the US of A? Did you think that she was going to be from
No, I never have. Actually, my buddies were always like, so I had really skeptical friends in general about Southwestern. Now, the best, yeah. One of them now is reading Greatest Salesman in the World without having sold books all the time. And my one of my best men at my wedding, he's like, all right, 5 summers later, he's like, all right, what is this thing you're doing? I'm gonna go sell for a summer. I was like, you sure? Let's do it. So it was funny.
That's hilarious, dude. That's funny.
But I met my pretty amazing wife through a coincidence where, well, she's pretty badass. Let's start with that. And she
Erin's, by the way, shout out to Erin. Love her lots. She's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Hope you're listening, Erin. You're awesome.
Yay!
I've been her a couple times, but she's great.
I'll probably have to tell her to do that. Probably your audience is gonna spike up after this episode. So if you're still in this episode, remember there is this company, Southwestern Legacy. All right, but basically what I was saying is that I was on the phone with Kim Klein, who is class 2014. And I was picking her brain, how people say in Southwestern, about recruiting, because she just had a badass team, great recruiter. It was October, and I knew that she's going to GRG, which there's probably not a description down there what GRG is. I'm going to break it down for those who doesn't know. It's Great Recruiters Getaway, where the greatest recruiters in the company go and have fun in some really cool location. So anyway, it was October. They were going there in December, and we were just talking over, Facebook, whatnot. And I was like, yeah, what helped you to recruit a big team? Again, this is fast, man. You put it down there. This is awesome. So we were talking, and I was like, yeah, so let me ask you how you recruited a big team. And, my recruiting season starts in October. So I was getting some advice from her. And then just in the end of the meeting, I was like, yeah, you guys are going to the Azores, which technically, if you look at the map, there's Europe, there's the US. Azores is literally in the middle. It's the furthest most island of Europe. A geography geek, if you haven't noticed. So basically, I was like, you're going to go to Europe. Coming over to Prague just to hang out, And she's like, okay. So it ends up that she, Courtney Smith, now Buck, Tabitha Taylor, Amy Pigozzi, now Drew. Yeah, it's just, there's just so many other people. And Kim and Aaron, I might forget somebody, Desiree Fa, Dominica, somebody else I might forget.
Edgar Ibarra was at that.
He didn't get to go, though, but he was there. That is right. He was the only man at this meeting, at this trip.
Oh, so no. Anyway, in a group of awesome ladies. Oh no.
Yeah, right.
What a bummer. That sucks.
And apparently, Kim ends up recruiting them all to go over to Prague for like 3 days. I was like, all right. So we show up. Of course, when book people show up in Prague, it was me, Pasha, people at the time, whoever was there, Dominika, Eva, Lutska, everybody was hanging out with us.
Katrina.
Katrina. She would probably, yeah. Kachenka, she would call herself probably. But anyway, so we're hanging out, and Aaron is the only person I didn't know, so just like this right away, and we were dating 3 weeks later. So yeah,
love at first sight, huh?
Something like that. Something like that. Yeah, this Cupid was flying out there. It was pretty rainy, so this guy was outside hunting.
And
So
he got you, brother.
he got,
He
yeah,
swear.
he did absolutely right there.
This
So we,
U.S. girl caught your heart.
oh
Oh
man,
no.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no. It's
I
the
mean,
best, isn't it? It's the
yeah,
worst. It's
it's
the
pretty
best.
awesome. So it's really it's a whole story, of course, but Erin is Erin is a better teller of the story, I would say. She has pretty much figured out how to tell it step by step, I would say. Different versions of it
Well,
as well, short, long, middle-sized version, and whatever. But then we've been
when
dating. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how long did you date, and then when did you get married?
We started dating pretty much January 2017. We got married September 2019, which was pretty awesome. We've been dating.
Wow.
I pretty much saw her. I've pretty much seen her before sales school for a couple days, after and checkout, maybe once when she would make a trip or when I would make a trip um, from the US to Europe or from Europe to the US, and then at GRS. That's like
Right.
dating, right? So we see each other like 3, 4, 5 times a year. And then Dan Moore was actually
Wow.
our officiant, which was pretty fun.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah. It's funny because we were in Almaty in Kazakhstan, and he was like, "What are you up to these days?" And I'm like, we were going in the elevator, and I was like, "Well, just going to America to secretly propose to Erin." And it was like end of March, so our recruiting started dying off already, and we had things figured out basically already. So I went to Nashville, and he was like, "Well, I have an officiant's license. I would be happy to, and privileged." I was like, "That's awesome. Let me ask Erin, if she says yes to me first, but this would be awesome." It was so random. He was just like in the elevator, and then we're like, "I'll take you up on that." So we did, and he did absolutely great. Like, it was awesome. It was a
Of
great,
course.
yeah, it was good.
I mean, of all the public speakers I've ever seen in my life, and I'm including like stand-up comedians and like just like amazing high caliber humans, Dan Moore might be in the top 2. Like,
He decides to retire tomorrow and go to be stand-up comedian. I think he can pull that out too,
he's
probably.
so magnetic.
You know
Like,
what I
it's just
would watch though? I would
it's
watch the
crazy.
unfiltered version of Dan Moore. That's just like, not, of course, because he's in the position right now that he is. But I would watch like, all right, you guys, just be I've been to Joe Rogan and Dave Chappelle stand up in Nashville. So if he would just go like really, zero censory or whatever. So totally
Well,
uncensored. Uncensored
listen,
Dan.
whenever he
That would be,
decides to leave the presidency and just be retired, we're gonna have him on the show. And he
there you
can
go.
have the
As a
uncensored
host.
version.
Yeah, like
Yeah, he could.
I
I mean,
remember
great as
those
a host.
guys that I taught back in sales school.
Well, we have Dustin Hill is coming on in August or in September.
Really.
Yeah, he'll be on the show, and it's gonna be like a more open, like
Big D's coming in, yeah, with some
yeah,
fire.
yeah. It's gonna be unpolished, uncensored, just over some beers, just
This is
straight
awesome.
talking.
I bet
Yeah,
he'll.
yeah.
I mean, I bet he will not be mad at me. He's a highly qualified shit dog to an extent where he has a lot of stories to tell. I bet so. He's
Yeah,
been a
for
lot of
sure.
places, lots of things he's done, and it's pretty awesome. I'm excited to see that one.
Damn, dude. Now, out of I want to ask you about this. So out of your time selling books specifically, because we can get to the ponytails in a sec, but out of your time selling books, was there ever a time where you were would you ever experience the like people get out of my country type vibes, like that part of the United States culture where it's like you're a foreigner, you're Russian, you're from a weird country? Did you ever experience anything like that? How did you, and then if you did, how did you deal with that? Sorry, this is
The
a gear
people?
change.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm always down into gear changing. Uh, I've always, again, and with all due respect, I probably do not look like a very. It takes people probably about 5-10 minutes of having a conversation with me to realize that I'm not from America. So I think
You're
I
white.
don't,
Yes. You're
yeah,
very white.
very
You're
white.
6'5" and you're white as fuck. Yeah, I know.
However, I look
Listen.
like Ivan Drago, so it might be very much so. But I, man, maybe I don't remember. Maybe I, uh, deleted it from my memory. Maybe I sold in the very conservative South for 2 summers and Midwest for 2 summers, where people are riding trucks and listening to country and all that. So I I kind of blend in there, I guess.
Oh, you put some cowboy boots on, we can't tell.
This I cannot do, and I still cannot. Sorry, wife, but I still cannot listen to country. Like this is the thing that I cannot Americanize myself on. But just so you know how American I am, I even have a pair of Chacos that I bought, and I was like, "Why are those weird?" It's just like it's just. So I was like, when
You like burgers and wings and basketball and beer.
yeah, right. So I've never even noticed anything like that. Just because maybe I was pretty chill about that all the time. Maybe because I've been very again, I've lived in the Czech Republic for 9 years, so the adaptation to a different culture and maybe some comments towards me, they're never a big deal. So I probably don't even notice half of them, maybe 90% of them. Let me just put it this way. So I don't even know. However, if I met some racists, they were definitely not white, blonde people, probably. Or if I met somebody,
Brown people.
right? So, but I never even thought about it, to be honest. Like never noticed anything.
Wow. I
Yeah.
got some of it.
Well,
Oh yeah. It's interesting. Upstate New York, man. They were like, we don't want your kind here. Go back to your country. You're like,
never happened.
I
Totally
am
not.
here.
It's my country, my people.
I am here. Like, here I am. I am back to my country. What's up?
From a different
That's
state,
wild, dude.
right? I don't know.
I'm always curious just because of the accent. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm sure when you first came here, you probably had some sort of accent. And so maybe like people were freaked out by the
I still do. I
Russian
think,
sounding accent.
it's just
Yeah, but it's a little more subtle. It's slight. You have a pretty good maneuver or command of the English tongue. Your tongue, man.
I have
You got a nice tongue.
a tough teacher that corrects me if I say something wrong and hopes that I never lose my quote unquote Europe whatever foreigner accent, how she calls it. I'm talking about my wife again. But yeah, she's like, "What did you say right now?" So some of the emphasis on the words and different pronunciations. Like the other time, I was trying to look up the word esophagus, and I was like esophagus, and she's like, "What did you say?" I was like esophagus. Some of the words, it's just like it never goes away, and I'm grateful for that. So
You should be like when you can say your new last name right, then you can make fun of me for esophagus.
She made a whole chant out of it. Sakhautdinov. Like she literally just entertains herself with that.
Yeah, because it was Reynolds. It was Reynolds.
Yeah. And this is my common book-filled rapport building for the last 2 summers. They're like, "What is your last name?" I was like, "I know, right? My wife's last name used to be Reynolds. Guess what? I told her like, hey, I won't be mad at you if you don't change your last name. But now each time she calls an airline, she would have to spell it out. So here I am. So it's almost like a rapport building activity to give my business card to people where I'm selling insurance with Southwestern Legacy Insurance Group, or if I was on the book field, I would always like try to read it, butcher it. Come on, let's have fun with this. It was awesome. It was just hilarious.
Yeah. Simon Przemysław, he's from Poland, and he had over his I think it was 5 or 6 summers, I can't remember, and he said that he offered people free books if they could pronounce his last name.
Do I get one if I pronounce it?
What's that?
Would I take him up on that if I pronounce it now? I don't know.
No, I mean, I don't know, but he said that's how he said he had fun in the book field. He'd always ask moms, like, look, if you can pronounce he'd be like, Mrs. Jones. It's either $5.99 or whatever, right? For the set, or it's free if you can pronounce my last name. And like nobody ever. Yeah. I thought it was hilarious because that's such a fun way to close, right? Because then otherwise people be like, all right, I'll just pay $600 or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, y'all listen. Andres Rodrigo Gamboa Barrera Mogollón Fuentes. Try that. That's my full name.
El patrón de Medellín. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria. Originally inserted right there.
You watch too much Narcos, dude.
Yeah, I watched it all. How would you not?
Oh man, it's crazy. Season three is in this book. Like there's a version of season 3 of Narcos in here.
I can imagine, man. It's crazy.
So
it's not funny at all, but it's totally...
It is. You gotta make fun of it. He's a shitty guy. I do stand up. Did you know I do stand up?
Tall and dark comedy, right? Were you the dark?
Oh
one?
Man. Whoa. Back up. That used to be our name. With Brandon Q. Brandon Q and I used to be in a group called Tall, Dark, and Comedy. And then Isaiah Garza came in and it was a hostile takeover. And this is how I used to say it. Like I said, because we ended up breaking up like the Beatles. Now I'm still friends with Brandon, but we broke up for a little bit there. And it was like, dude, and the way I always tell the story is Isaiah came into the group and we had differing opinions in the direction that we wanted to take the group. My opinion was that I should stay in the group, and we just had differing opinions on the direction we wanted to take the group.
A very good, a very Denmore answer, I would say.
Right. Yeah. There you go. And then I would say, I told a joke because people around in the community would be like, "Oh, I thought you guys were part of a group or whatever." So that I was like, "Yeah, now I'm on a weird spot because I'm totally pro-migration, but I'm one of those people whose job got taken by a Mexican." Because we were called Tall, Dark, and Comedy, right? So I was the dark, Brandon was tall, he's 6'8", and the comedy was subjective, right? So, but yeah, I do stand up by myself, and in my stand-up bit, I'm always like, yeah. People always ask me, I tell them I'm Colombian, and they're like, "Oh, Narcos, did you know Pablo?" And I'm like, hey man, like listen, there's millions of people in Colombia, okay? Not everybody knew Pablo as well as I did, right? He was my cousin. We were friends. It was all chill.
It's funny.
I tried. Thank you for saying that because I thought
money buried in my backyard. Actually,
wild, right?
Remember the story how he was just burying it because he,
There's still people finding it. There's still people finding money buried in the middle of a field somewhere because he just buried like hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars worth of cash.
What's cool on this topic? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go for it. No, dude, do it.
That I used to work with, Vlad Lim. He is the guy that basically co-started the entire Kazakhstan, and he won a Freddie for the top team in the country in Southwestern. He studied law, and the two dudes that are portrayed, the DEA agents, they came and spoke in his class about the whole thing. And he has a picture with two of them, the one with the mustache and the one with the glasses. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no way. And he showed it to me when I was like really Narcos addicted. So it was really fun. I was like,
you know what's crazy about that show? Because you watch like Game of Thrones or you'll watch Breaking Bad or whatever the fuck, and you're like, wow, what a show, right? You'll watch Ozark or whatever, and you're like, wow, what a show. Somebody wrote that story from scratch. They had this imagination and they wrote it and they created this complex character. And it was amazing. Wow, what a skill to write stories that well. And then you watch Narcos and you're like, wow, this shit happened. It happened exactly like this. I asked my dad, he's like, how accurate is it? Because he lived through this, right? Like my family all lived through this. And I was like, how legit? And they're like, it's like 90, 95% accurate, which means when you're watching this shit, that like that happened. Like my dad was like, "Oh yeah, I remember the news when that happened. Like I remember this exact thing." I'm like, "Oh my god."
When the
Nobody wrote this.
Show the real
When
footage. That's awesome, yeah.
Of the plane that blew up. It was fucking crazy. Or like when they took over what is the equivalent of like the Supreme Courts, or like it's so insane that man was a real human being that existed, and like crazy. Anyway, this is not about Southwestern, but it doesn't matter. This is what the fun of the show is.
It's about life. It's not about selling books.
Yeah.
It's about life.
Yeah. There's parts of season 3 that I watched that I remember. Like there was things that because it's after Pablo died. Spoiler alert. You know, I mean, people know this, but like season 3 kind of talks more about like the 90s, early 2000s, and like the Cali cartel. And I remember there was things that happened. I'm like, oh wow, I remember when this happened. Like as a kid, like I remember this was a thing on the news that we watched that this happened. Like, and I was 6 or whatever. But you know, when it's kind of that kind of traumatic shit, it sticks. You don't forget. You know, a bomb going off in the city that you live in. And you're like, oh shit, that happened. Like so crazy, man.
Really
so
traumatic.
bananas.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It was the craziest. I mean, you just think about it and you're like, wow, that's where I'm from. That's my heritage, right? It's crazy.
So I can read about it in this book, The Cost of Citizenship, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah. There's bits about it that I talk about, like things that happen. Like there's a couple of Danny was 4, so he probably doesn't remember as much. But we were driving and we were going down this road. This is chapter 7, I think, in the book. And we're driving down this road, and there was like a long line to this toll booth. And you know, in America, excuse me, in the United States, there's toll booths, right? Where you have to pay to keep going on the road. But there's like a line of like cars. We're about 50 yards, 100 yards away, and nothing was moving. We were just sitting there for a while. Nothing was moving. And then all of a sudden, people kind of start freaking out. You can kind of see kind of people dispersing, kind of running. And I was alive for this. And all of a sudden, just and this giant explosion just happens. And you just see this fireball in the sky, like 100 feet in the air, big. I mean, just giant. And people just freak the fuck out. Cars start like turning around, running. And later on, so we go back. Obviously, we ran, so we just go the other way. And we started like asking people like what happened, like people that were closer to the front. And then we started kind of putting the pieces together. Basically, what had happened was a semi truck had been hijacked by the FARC, which is kind of like the ISIS, right? And give or take, the Communist Party, and they had put a bomb in it, and they told people to not move it because they were waiting for the army to show up and defuse it, and then they were going to blow it up on them. But people started fucking with it and started smoking, and then that's when the people started running away. And then it blew up. Well, what was crazy was there was a Jeep that was behind us, kind of like an SUV kind of type car, and they passed us, and they went straight. And right as they were kind of getting to the toll booth, it blew up. We go back later, dude, and we're driving, and we see that Jeep. The front of it was gone. It was just the fire burnt. Like the back of it was intact. The roof of the car had been ripped up, and there was 4 cadavers just sitting there on each of the chairs. No brains. The brains were actually on the side of the car. Sorry if this is graphic, by the way. This is an uncensored podcast.
PG-18.
But I write about that in the book. Like I remember this experience. It was the craziest thing that I had seen, I probably have ever seen in my life. It was just this crazy thing. But that, and you know, and now I think back and I'm like, you know, that shit happened to me. But that was like another day in Colombia. Like there was bombs going off every day, all over the place with this war that was happening, and it was just the craziest experience. So yeah, I do read it. It is in here. That's part of the cost
for the citizenship.
For citizenship in a world.
I think the Southwestern legacy logo on this book will look great too.
oh, they have tried, my friend. I have been offered. But I appreciated that. But anyway, the point is, it's in there. I'll send you a copy. Hope you like it. Read it.
I'm excited.
I hope you cry.
That would be good.
Did you cry in the book field?
I did last my first summer, my literally like delivery week. Not because of the world. I just I mean, I got a text from my mom that she had like stage 4 cancer and she has to go through like 7 chemotherapies. And I was like, shit, okay. So that was kind of, it was really like,
What?
okay, well, I just sold books. I grew so much personally. And, it's like, and I was delivering the books to this really godly family. And they were like, yay, they were just good people. You can tell, just like really, really, really good people. And they're like, can we pray for you? I was like, sure. And I started bawling, and it was just, and we were hugging, and yeah, it was I mean, my mom's healthier than she could ever be right now, probably. So
Oh, good.
yeah, she's a fighter. So it's just like, so I was like, well, my second time I was like, how can I give up, and how could I be having a crappy attitude when my mom's fighting stage 4 cancer out there? It's just like, I mean, what is my excuse? So we just got to keep going. Oh, you have a bad day? All right. Well, everything is in perspective. It should be good. So yeah,
Wow. That's another that I think perspective is a synonymous, or like the same synonymous with attitude.
I agree. Totally. Everything's relative. It's just like, oh, you have a crappy day. Well, somebody's got it crappier, so you better man up and keep going.
Yeah, because
So,
people think a good attitude means, yeah, people think having a good attitude means being positive. No, it just means having a good perspective
mm-hmm.
on the things that are
Never as
happening
good
to
as
you.
it seems, never as bad as it seems, right? So it's like, could be better, it could be worse. It's just normal. That's kind of, I think it's the Erin keeps citing it in all of her DSL meetings and whatever. It's from The Blow with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
There is like the whole phrase and a cut from it, and every TD person probably knows it by heart. But the only phrase I remember is never as good, never as bad. It's just okay. So I think this is a good lesson I learned, obviously. So
Damn, dude.
yeah,
Wow. Tim,
here's
it's been a pleasure.
some
We got to
fire.
get it. This is so fun. Isn't it
Yeah,
fun?
I loved it.
I have a good time. Yeah, it's better than watching Arsenal play, for sure.
No.
Oh
It's less painful, but it doesn't make it better. So just so you know.
man. Well, all
Yeah.
right. What do you say we go into some ponytails? You up for that? You got some fun stories?
Ponytails. Well, I guess I can. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. You can think of a couple.
I
I have a couple more shout outs to give out, and then we can go into that. What do you think?
Let's do it. Let's give another shout out to Cardinal Insurance Group, and then
Sure,
Southwestern.
we can. Sure, we'll do Cardinal first. That way,
Let's do that.
you know,
But
yeah.
everybody will know what
Okay.
we're really talking about. Just so
How about this? How about this? Here's what we're gonna do. If people are interested in working with Legacy, they can always go and reach Tim. Tim will put your contact information, your email, or something on the description so people can reach you.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll do it that way. In the meantime, if Legacy isn't quite for you, maybe not. Maybe I'm not here to tell you what it is, right? But a ton of reasons that Cardinal agents do well is the reason that they're able to write so much business is because they work small hours and they work smart, but they've built a really good lead system. So they have direct mail leads. Every week, each agent gets about 40 direct mail leads, depending on how much or how little they want to work. And basically, the cards look like this. You may qualify for a program to assist in final expenses. It is important you know how to qualify for this life insurance benefit available to you. This life insurance will pay for all funeral and final expenses up to the amount that you want. If you're interested in that, complete the information below. So the prospects that Cardinal gets a call on are all people who are writing their name, the age, date of birth, and spouse's information, phone number, and address, and mail it back in. That's why their agents are able to get such a high rate of return on their time. They're spending almost all of their time with legit prospects. So it's a prospect game, man. So that's a shout out to them. Big shout out to also EnLight.Energy. If you don't know who EnLight.Energy is, let me tell you a little bit about them. It's a company that was started by Julio Hernandez. And they do solar. So basically, they're doing to solar what Southwestern Real Estate did to real estate as a whole. So if you have a passion for the planet, a desire to earn good money, and you want to work with someone like Nick Taverdi, let's see how you can join him in Julio Hernandez and EnLight. A sale every other week is enough to earning about 6 figures of income. So the ability to work with people just about every U.S. market. So anywhere in the state will work. And you're not even really selling anything additionally. you're just actually helping people save money. So you're replacing their utility bill, which is insanely high, especially now, for a much cheaper solar bill. So that's what they're trying to find and do. And last but not least, big shout out to VDisain. So our website's been launched, theponytailspodcast.com. You can go buy merch there. You have hats, t-shirts, hoodies, fanny packs, coffee mugs, baby gear, whatever you want. And go find it there. If there's something in there that you don't have and you want something specifically for you, you can join the stable, which is where we can make you specific merch. So it's like a monthly membership that you pay, and we can make you any of the merch that you want that has ponytails on it. So if you don't see it in our store, but you'd rather have an idea of like, oh, what about a bedspread or a beach towel? We can make that for you. Just let us know. And that's an exclusive access to our folks there. But our website was designed and done by Oscar and Oliver over at VDisain. That's Oliver Reynes and Oscar Koha. And if you own a business and want to have an effective presence online, we know that at the podcast, you need a good website. So most American website developers cost anywhere from between 25 to 50,000 to build your company's website. And while you could build one on yourself for pretty cheap, the big thing is that our friends at VDisain bring their expertise in integrations, which is really huge. So you can have it connect to all sorts of different things as part of your business seamlessly. It's important for you to have a solid website that funnels all of your traffic to places that will improve your customer interactions. So we can get you in touch with them to get you that website of your dreams. And so on that note, I hope that I gave you enough time, my friend, to think of a couple of ponytails that you might have.
I was listening to your ads, and they're so awesome. I love direct mail. I love selling direct mailers. This is awesome. And honestly,
hell yeah, brother.
Oscar and Oliver, I met Oliver again in my big time Southwestern Legacy Insurance office. We were just talking when he was in the US. I heard what they're doing. They're pretty awesome too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a cool company, and I'm glad that they're doing so well. I mean, they're crushing it in Europe, so they're starting to kind of open up into the US market, and
that's fine.
it's great.
Yeah.
So
I'm cheering for the boys.
And the thing is, like, we haven't been necessarily the easiest to work with because we're a podcast, so our business model is a little differently than probably what they're used to working with. But they've been so good at being flexible and like, you know, kind of like moving with what we need. And that's really what you need, is because they're not done until they're happy with the fact that we're happy. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've appreciated about them. So yeah, if you're out there, you need a website. I mean, it's stupid to go anywhere else. You might as well support an alumni and keep it in the family, you know? So I don't know.
They're great.
That's my thought.
Their pricing is good too. Just like Southwestern.
Yeah, because they're
groups.
It's an Estonian currency. Yeah, so we saved a ton of money by going with them.
I love it. Yeah, great. Absolutely. Huge, I went blank and I was just listening to your ads, but I guess I always got one story.
Give me so put it this way. This is the story that if you had 10, 15 minutes, however long,
man, it was
for your kids or something like that. What would you say? This is like the one thing about US selling bookstore to door. This is
it was an uncomfortable one, but I'd say that hey, the more uncomfortable, the better it is, right? So
yes, sir.
I think you were talking about Lee McCroskey pooping his pants.
Yeah, right? That happened for sure. He shit his pants in his fourth summer at a post office.
I love Lee McCroskey, and I think he's awesome. So I'm going to talk about shitting as well, but not shitting my pants necessarily. So remember I told you I worked in Colorado Springs my first summer, right? Now, the part of Colorado Springs that's kind of like, so I work northwest, and it's like the mountainous area. And part of my turf, I started like lower income, and the more I went to my turf, the more northwest it went. So the higher into the mountains it is. And there's literally like a bluff, a ridge out there, right? So like the houses get more spread out, bigger income, bigger brick, all that type of stuff. And there's poor little Timmy, in his little 7th grader green bike going around those big old houses out there in the heat in Colorado. And not gonna lie, I was probably the most on schedule bookman for the first 5 summers that you could imagine. Like I was like, drink only water, don't drink Coke on the book field. No soda. Pack your lunch. Never go back to the HQ. I was like literally semi-Southwestern, right? So to me, go to the gas station to restroom is like a crime, So the need is there, and I've been eating those shitty bread sandwiches, PB&J, of course. So obviously, it's kind of really interesting digestion on your tummy. So I think it was like week 2 or week 3. I haven't gotten to know that much sales yet, or haven't gotten to get that many sit downs yet. So I was spending a lot of time outside, and I wanted to poop. And I was like, man, and I'm sitting on 0. I had a very hard week. I remember I've been probably like two 0 days in a row. I followed, and then another 0 day. So I was like, oh, this life sucks. And then I have to poop like really, really hard. So I'm like, okay, what do I do right now? And I'm sitting on my bike, and the seat there is just like really uncomfortable. So each time I move, I'm like, all right, it's gotta stop. So
it's spreading your cheeks.
Just like, and again, it's a podcast, but I gotta. Lee inspired me. Let's put it this way, right? So it's like literally, I'm like, all right, I gotta come up with a solution to this problem. So I'm like, all right, I think I got it. It's about 11:30 a.m. So I'm like knocking on the door. This lady shoves me off. I was like, with my tough accent, I was like, can I ask you for something totally different? She's like, yeah, what's going on? I was like, I'm about to eat my lunch, and I don't want to get my hands dirty. Do you have a couple of paper towels that I could use? And she's like, oh yeah, sure. So she gives me a couple of paper towels, and I go outside of this neighborhood, and I'm like looking, where's the little forestry area where I can, be on schedule and take a poop. And I remember, and again, Colorado is beautiful. I remember not shitting my pants because I found the solution to the problem, and I see that there is this deer. And again, I'm like so amazed by everything going on in the U.S. And I'm seeing this deer like probably 30 meters away from me, like 40 yards, whatever, away from me, doing the same thing. So me and deer, we were shitting at the same time. Beautiful Colorado Springs while I was on schedule. That was amazing. I enjoyed it. It was
circle of life.
It was awesome. But at the same time, I felt shitty because I was like, is this what you came to the US for? To shit your pants? Looking almost shit your pants, not having because my approach was really, really bad. So
man.
Yeah, somewhere on the sharp ridges of Colorado Springs, there is still a mark left by the.
You marked your territory. Listen, there could be a tree growing there now. It could be a Kazakhstan tree. It's like there's gonna be all these pines, and all of a sudden this fucking tree. Just what is this? What is this? It was fertilized by a different seed, my friend. Different seed.
Isn't it crazy how for us as humans, peeing, pooping, and sexual things are just extremely funny? It's just like every stand-up comedian has to insert those things when you
have to.
Those, it's just like highly.
Are you even a comedian if you don't have a fart joke?
Yeah, right. So.
You're right, my friend. All right. Well, that is a show right there. That is a good ponytails. We needed a good poop story from the Europeans. I love that. So here, I'm going to close this out, but I want to give a couple of shout outs to Kazakhstan and a couple of fun facts that we found. Tell me how many of these are true. So here's how we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to read these out loud and you tell me yes or no. And then after we get through all of them, we'll say goodbye.
Sounds good.
This is some fun facts about your country. So are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
So okay, here we go. So Kazakhstan is the world's largest landlocked country. Is this true?
Correct.
Nearly all elements of the Mendeleev periodic table are found in Kazakhstan. 99
of them, yes. Correct.
Kazakhstan is a transcontinental nation.
Yes, it's in Europe and Asia. 27% in Europe, 73% in Asia. Correct.
So are you European or Asian?
I'm literally like on the border.
So you're Eurasian?
I'm Eurasian, yes.
Sexy.
Which Eurasia is one continent in my book when I was growing up in school, but that's a topic for another day.
let's just say this: you're Asian from the half, from the top, from the half up, and you're European from the half down.
Yes, exactly. Oh yeah,
They-
compliments left and right.
Looking at you, Aaron. Looking at you, Aaron. Okay, snow leopards are from Kazakhstan.
Correct. They even filmed the BBC's great documentary, the Planet whatever series in Kazakhstan.
Amazing. Snow leopards are, so that's cool. So okay, so you guys are landlocked, but despite being landlocked, you have a navy.
We do. We have the
That's
biggest
interesting.
lake in the world, which is called the sea. So
Here we go. So actually, you got Lake Balkash, one of the largest lakes in the world, consists of fresh water, and the other half is saltwater.
yeah, it's literally divided half and half. I was talking about the
Oh,
Caspian Sea, but Balkhash is also pretty big. Yeah.
amazing. Okay, so you guys have the world's biggest and oldest space launch facility. Is that right?
1957 Baikonur, yes, owned by
Let's
Russia.
go. The border between Russia and Kazakhstan is the longest continuous land border in the world.
It's freaking long.
About 7,512.8 kilometers, if anybody's
Longer than
counting.
Canada and the US, yeah, absolutely.
That's crazy. And by the
There
way,
you go, conversions, awesome. On top of it.
horses were first domesticated in the territory of the present Kazakhstan.
Mhm. Do you know that we eat them too?
You fuck what?
Yes.
You guys eat horses?
Isn't it funny that when Denmore officiated our wedding, he said, who could have imagined that the girl growing up riding horses would have been marrying the guy that grew up eating horse meat?
Hold on, man. This is the Ponytails podcast.
I know.
Pony
and
tails,
it's
like
good
everything
meat.
in our company is horse.
It's
You
good.
eat horses?
It's good.
This is some fucking what does it taste like? Chicken though? Is it
It's
good?
really lean and really good meat. However, there are, again, so that you would not think I'm some type of idiot or Hannibal or bad person. There are horses bred for meat, and there are horses bred for other festivities like
Yeah.
normal.
Well,
meat.
wow. I feel like the Ponytails podcast in Kazakhstan have something like, I don't know. I feel like this is unique.
Tastes good.
Everything. Look, our newsletter that's coming out, that's out now. You could actually, by the time this airs, it'll be out. Our
The one with
newsletter
the
is
big Southwestern Legacy logo on top of it.
but it's called The Colt. Like
Okay.
COLT, like a horse.
Oh, they
It's
like
a
the
type of horse.
Colts. That is awesome.
Yeah. And that,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
our
they were.
daily our meetings are called the saddle ups.
Oh, that's
Everything's everything's we our sponsors are called jockeys. Everything's horse related. And you guys eat horses. I'm
cool. Who am
so
I if I am the interviewee?
you're just a guest. You're a pony.
Okay.
Yeah, our fans, there's different levels for our fans that they can pay to register. So if you get like the basic entry levels ponies, then you got the stallions and they get Clydesdales.
Oh my gosh. Can I tell another ponytail story, please? Before
Fuck
we
yeah.
wrap up. Last
Yeah.
summer, it's really horse related. Last summer,
Yes.
you just reminded me
Great.
about that. But
So this is a legit pony tale.
I know, man. This is like it's gonna be not a legit little ponytail, but I just literally got a traumatic experience, and I was not gonna be able to unsee it after I saw what I saw on the book field. But you can keep going with the facts about Kazakhstan. I like those.
Okay, so we'll close with that story. But yes, okay, we'll finish this facts. Kazakh means wanderer or independent.
Yes.
That's correct. Kazakhs believe that whistling a song inside a building will make you poor for the rest of your life.
Freaking yes. I've been growing up not being allowed to whistle inside of my house. Literally. It's crazy. Don't whistle. You're gonna be poor. And another thing, you're not supposed to take out trash at night. Because you're gonna take out your money at night. So I'm still like, oh gosh, I gotta do it. It's crazy. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so the Kazakh word for dog is pronounced eat.
Eat.
So you guys eat horses, which means dog horses.
Literally. It.
The United States was the first nation to recognize Kazakhstan as a sovereign state shortly after it declared its independence in December of 1991. Is that true?
Know that, but I would agree with that. Why would they not be? If the
Yeah.
United States wants to be
Cold
first
War.
in everything else in the world, why would they not want to be the first in this one, right?
Hell
America,
yeah.
America,
America.
America.
Yeah. America. Ting. Ting. All
Uh,
right. So pony
can
sale.
can I
Literal pony story.
in fact,
Yeah. Give it to me.
there is a point in Kazakhstan that is equally far from 4 oceans. Isn't it cool?
Yes, but do you want to hear a fun fact on top of that fun fact?
What is
I
it?
grew up in Nebraska, and Nebraska is the only landlocked country or landlocked state or territory or country, I guess, triple landlocked, which means that you have to travel 3 borders of another state and or country to get to any major body of water. It is the furthest from any body of water.
Okay.
It's like Hawaii. Hawaii is the furthest from any mainland in the world.
Yeah.
This is the furthest from any water in the world. So landlocked, baby. Growing up on landlocked states. Let's
Nebraska
go.
and Kazakhstan bros for life.
Nebraska, Kazakhstan.
Nebraska.
Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan.
The story, right?
Baby.
Last summer, country, Oklahoma. I talked to this guy and he's like, I don't have kids. Take pre-approach from him. He's like, if you go like half a mile down this road, there is a mobile vet station, and this girl has a 3-year-old. She's awesome. She would love that. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I go there right away, right? I knock on her house door. Her dad is babysitting her 3-year-old daughter. And he's like, oh, she's right there in the barn. I was like, can I just come there and, talk to her? She's like, yeah, she's cool. Just talk to her. And I walk to the barn and I'm like, hello. And I see that there's 2 ladies. It's a barn. They're literally making a horse baby. Like in the process of making a horse baby. There is a horse girl standing in the stable, and they're like, yeah, what's up? So she's a super chill, super laid back country girl. She has her F-150 truck full of her horse veterinary supplies pulled up in the barn, and she's bringing a stallion. I was like, should I stop by later? Is this a good time? I'm like, seeing something weird. And she's like, no, you can actually watch that if you want to. I was like, can I ask questions at the same time? Like, sure, go for it. And there is her and her assistant. So I'm seeing, and I'm like, building rapport, I am extremely on schedule, right? I'm really committed to that, to the purpose. And I'm like, not wasting my time. I'm asking like, how often do you read? What do you read, to your kid? She's got a 3-year-old. And as she's pulling up the stallion to this little kind of plastic horse, so basically they let the stallion watch the horse lady. Stallion gets excited, really excited, like that excited probably.
Like a Colombian, just fucking what up?
Like that excited.
Some Colombian shit right here.
There you go. I've never checked, not planning to be honest. So
third largest on average in the world, just FYI. Anyway, back to horses.
Oh wow, statistics. Right?
Statistics. Yeah, fun fact.
But
we did a bunch of fun facts about Kazakhstan. One Colombian one is good. So anyway,
we gotta represent, right? Of course. So you knew how to insert it properly. So I'm seeing that right there, and he's like humping this plastic horse version. And I'm like, I've never seen anything like this. I'm standing with my book, and she's like, yeah, how much is it? And she's like literally putting a artificial vagina on that. And he starts like, and I'm like, this is like, and I'm making my price build up as he's like going out there. And I was like, what did just happen? She's like, well, this, and she shakes the bottle. This is like 10 babies right there that I'm going to make out of it. And then I was like, can I keep watching and just like, are you going to buy? And she's like, yeah. It was like she was a pony actually. So
they were all ponies. Let's be honest. Everyone was a pony.
Right. So, and then what she does, she proceeds to put this big glove in her hand, sticks it down this horse vagina, this lady horse. And I'm like standing with my books, signing her up. I was like, what was your address? She's like in her insides, washing her out. And then she's injecting this little thing. I was like, so is there going to be a baby? She's like, yeah, probably. And I was like, thank you. This is just such an educational experience. So then I had to post on my Facebook business page saying that, hey, I've just been taught something I probably would never be able to unsee. And I was excited. And Erin grew up riding horse. And I'm like, you would not believe what I just saw. And I recorded her the message with the same story. This is my ponytail story. This is
that is a legitimately like literal pony story.
Well, I believe this was not a pony. Trust me, this was something from like a big stallion story. I don't know.
If there's ever been a ponytail, that right there, my friend, was it. Like there's no topping this. We have to end it here. It's over. In fact, we're done with the podcast. We're closing it down. This is
bye.
See everyone. Arsenal wins. Let's go.
Let's go. North London forever. Whatever
My man. That was crazy. That was probably one of the craziest ponytails, both literally and figuratively, that we've ever had on the show. And I appreciate that. Oh, wow.
Wow, man. Ponytail award.
We should send you something, actually. I'm gonna send you something for that. That was crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
My address now. So
well, yes, sir. Send it to me. All right. Well, this concludes our episode here. I hope did you have fun? Was it all right?
Zero. Absolutely. Yeah.
Fair enough. I can tell. On that note.
That was awesome, man. It was great.
Hey, I want to say thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for sharing. It's such a cool thing to learn. I learned some cool facts about your country, and I learned some really cool stuff about the life of another person who is an immigrant. And it's such a fun thing for me personally as an immigrant myself. So I want to thank you so much. Congratulations on your marriage, my man.
Thank you.
If you're listening, thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Very recent. Right now on screen, we're going to put Tim's email. If you want to reach out to him, it's sw.tim and then sakhautdinov@gmail.com to reach out to him if you're curious about working with Legacy, if you want to learn more about what it's like, or if you just want to kind of pick his brain about a new career possibility. Make sure you reach out to. Is that okay that we put that on there?
Oh, you can put my phone number if you want to as well. That would be great.
Cool. That is going to be up on the screen next. But really, let me repeat the email because it's kind of complicated. If there's people that are only listening, so that's sw.tim TIM sakhautdinov@gmail.com.
Did you see this TV out there? It was meant to be.
That's right, sir. That's right, sir. And then phone number is also going to be on the screen. That's +1 if you're in Europe. Otherwise, if you're not in Europe, it's just 650-690-1351. That's 650-690-1351. It's on the screen if you're watching. If you're only listening, you can just rewind the thing. 650-690-1351. If you have inquiries about how to work with Southwestern Legacy and learn a little bit more about Tim's career and the culture that they're building out there, they're crushing it right now. Make sure you reach out. Tim, thank you so much for being on the show, brother. I will see you next time I'm in Nashville. We're probably going to have another party at some point at Lee McCroskey's. Hopefully you'll make it out to that one.
Mm-hmm. I will not miss this one, I promise.
That's right, sir. And then other than that, please keep in touch. If you're ever in the Portland area, come say hello. I'm out here. Love you lots. It's so cool. And I will see you at the next Fantasy Premier League tournament that we have. I'm sure we're going to do it again next year. So on that note, my name is Andres Gamboa. This has been the Ponytails Podcast, and I will catch you guys on the next one. This has been part of our June European month, but I guess we have some Eurasian in here. That's okay. Outside of the US. So we'll catch you guys for the next one. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Please sign up for BIZZLER. Subscribe if you haven't yet already. And BIZZLER is August 15th through the 19th. Let us know how. There's going to be links below so you can get more information. On that note,